In Douluo, all the goddesses collapse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Speculations. After learning that the holders of the diary copy have beauties from various worlds, Wu Crossing couldn't help wanting to write something. He hurriedly said goodbye to Yilingling and Du Guyan and took Su Ruoxi back to the dormitory. Along the way, Wu Crossing also told her about the diary. Su Ruoxi then understood why Du Guyan and Yilingling came to her and why they knew her man. Knowing everything, she was shocked, but she felt a little lonely. Why didn't she get a copy of the diary? Is she not important in this world? Otherwise, why didn't she give it to her? Wu Crossing, who noticed the change in Su Ruoxi's mentality, immediately started to use the warm man skill of comfort, and a period of doing made her feel relieved. Wu Crossing, you won't leave me in the future, right? After comforting, Su Ruoxi looked at Wu Crossing, who was close at hand, and asked seriously. She was a little worried. Knowing that Wu Crossing was a traverser and had the diary system of the artifact, she couldn't imagine his future achievements. Even the Douluo world couldn't hold him. She was really afraid that one day he would leave her. It was not surprising that Su Ruoxi would think this way. All women who were just in love were like this. Even women in the Douluo world were the same. Once something happened, they would always think about it and worry about gains and losses. Silly girl, how could I not want you? You are the first woman I have traveled through. I would not want you, no matter who I am. Wu Crossing put his hand on Su Ruoxi's face, which was still full of afterglow, and lowered his head to kiss her sexy lips gently, and then continued. According to my understanding of the diary system, it can be upgraded, and there will definitely be more functions at that time. Maybe I can invite you in after a few levels. Yeah. Su Ruoxi finally smiled after getting the response. After another tender moment, Wu Crossing seemed to have thought of something, took out a fairy grass from the diary warehouse, and handed it to her. Ruoxi, absorb this fairy grass. It will be of great help to you, your man. I will write a diary first. Okay. Su Ruoxi nodded in response. After the previous explanation, she knew the function of the fairy grass, so she did not refuse. Watching Su Ruoxi absorb the immortal grass, Wu Crossing retracted his gaze, quickly opened the diary system, and started updating. Fuck, fuck, fuck. In the first line of words, Wu Crossing wrote 3 quintessences of Chinese culture to express his inner emotions. At the same time, the beauties in various worlds also received the prompts at the first time, and they were very surprised. Didn't it update twice today? Still coming? The women who didn't know what was going on called out the diary copy again, opened it, and were even more confused. What on earth happened to this guy that he was so out of control? Just as the women were curious, the second line of words appeared in the diary copy. Oh my god, ladies, I didn't want to disturb you again, but I couldn't help it. How? The women raised their eyebrows. Judging from the tone of this guy, it seemed that he was in big trouble. Bibi Dang, who was far away in Wuhan City, was even more shocked. Could it be that the other party was in danger? Want to seek help? But then she thought it was unlikely. The other party had the transmission card, who could threaten him. Although thinking so, Bibi Dang got up without any hesitation and walked out of her bedroom. As long as the other party was in danger, if the distance was close, she would rush over as soon as possible. After all, Wu Crossing was too important to her, 100 times and 1,000 times more important than the plan she had deployed. Knowing that the diary copy was powerful, her vision was no longer limited to this. However, just when she released her own martial spirit and prepared to support the other party, she saw the words that appeared in the diary copy the next second, and she almost stumbled and fell from the sky. Dear beauties, I learned something today, something that shocked me very much. It turns out that this diary system is connected to the Zhangman of the universe. It turns out that not only the beauties in the Douluo world got my diary. Bibi Dang looked at the words on it and was very angry. She called so many national quintessences and said so many words of death. I thought you were in danger, but this is the result. The holders of the diary copy are not only the beauties in the Douluo world, but also the beauties from other worlds. She knew it on the first day. It's a pity that she was so anxious to save people, but in the end, she made a mistake. If Wu Crossing was by her side at this moment, he would definitely not mind giving her a blood-sucking spider thorn. Why would he yell such an unlucky word like oh my god for no reason? Originally, I thought that, when I came to this world, the diary system would give me beauties from the Douluo world, but I didn't expect that the system would still set me up. If it weren't for the 2 beauties with diary copies who came to me today, I would still be in the dark. Here I would first like to thank the beautiful woman who told me this news. If it weren't for you reminding me, I don't know when I would know that the Gao system had concealed such an important thing. Yi Lingling, who was flipping through the diary, was filled with joy when she saw Wu Crossing write this. Her reminder was indeed rewarded and left a good impression in front of the other party. Everyone knows the importance of Wu Crossing. Even the most indifferent and undemanding beauties have places to relax in their spare time. Isn't it better to appreciate this vast world through Wu Crossing's diary and understand the customs of each world? Someone actually found the owner of the diary. Bibi Dang, who was still angry on the other side, felt nervous after seeing Wu Crossing's words. Someone found the other person before her, which was not a good thing for her. If the woman was not from a certain force, it would be better. If she came from a certain force or a big family, she would be easily won over by the other party. After all, the owner of this diary copy was a real playboy, and he had no immunity to the beauty trap. With a nervous mood, Bibi Dang could only continue to read, hoping that it was not what she thought. I have read many diary system novels in the original world, but none of them is so outrageous that it can include all the important beauties in the world of anime. This makes me doubt the real purpose of the system. Based on my understanding of many novels over the years, since the system distributes diary copies to all anime worlds, it must not be that simple, and I have a few guesses. First, the system should be able to connect all your worlds, but this function has not been opened yet. Second, the system should issue tasks or something like that for me, or you to complete. Third, since the mission has been issued, there will definitely be various rewards. I believe it should be a points reward. As for why I make this judgment, it is because the cultivation system in each of your worlds is different, and the rules will also be different, but points are the most convenient. Fourth, with points, the system mall will naturally be opened, and everyone can use points to buy various things suitable for you. As Wu Crossing's guesses came out one by one, all the goddesses in the world of Zhangman couldn't sit still in an instant. Chapter 27 The Frightened Douluo Women. These things can quickly improve your strength, and the speed may exceed your imagination. It may be possible to directly improve your realm. There are also various life-saving things, which can help you escape when you are in danger. In short, if the diary mall is really opened, the things sold in it will be completely beyond your imagination. I will not explain them one by one. Of course, this is just some of my guesses, based on many system novels, but it should be close. When many beauties saw Wu Crossing say that they could quickly improve their strength and directly improve it without practicing, their eyes became hot, especially those beauties who cared more about their own strength, and they wished that the diary system would upgrade quickly. Then they saw Wu Crossing mention the matter of saving his life again, and they all laughed softly. This diary owner is really interesting. Is he so afraid of death? He always talks about safety. They have never seen people who get the opportunity to defy the heavens and are still so timid. At least in their world, some people get the opportunity, which one is not high-spirited and wants to be famous all over the world. Look at the owner of the diary. His chance is even better than those people, but he looks like he is worried about others and himself. Is he suffering from paranoia? This Wu Crossing is such a coward. Ningrangrong, who will arrive at Xiandao Royal Academy tomorrow, is now concentrating on reading the diary copy in a hotel room. After seeing Wu Crossing's words, she did not have time to laugh. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking beside him also smiled slightly when they heard Ningrangrang's words. They also felt that Wu Crossing was too timid. Wu Crossing did not know that at this moment, he was labeled as a coward in the hearts of many beauties, and he did not know that the diary system had scolded him countless times. This old sixth host leaked all its functions in advance, so you might as well make the system. After my guess, let me briefly talk about the few beauties I learned about. I really did not expect that there would be a few of you who are so powerful. When I heard your information, I almost peed. Sacred Kesha, the king of gods in the world of heroes, God Liu, the supreme giant in the perfect world, the ruthless emperor, the most brilliant emperor in the world of shaking the sky, has lived for life after life. When I heard your names, I was really afraid that you would come to me along the system's network cable, and this small Douluo world would be destroyed by you. Fortunately, it is not an anim, separated by a dimensional barrier, otherwise I'm really worried that your arrival will cause the entire world to collapse directly. After all, even the God King in this Douluo world is just an int to you. Fortunately, I traveled through the Douluo Continent. If I traveled to your world, I would not even have a chance to survive, and I would be caught and sliced for a search as soon as possible. But then again, several beautiful ladies, I said, what if the system issues a task to me? I must not do this. When I enter your world, I'm insignificant to you, just a traveler with a golden finger. And I will never hide anything you want to know, so don't search my soul. I would like to thank the beautiful ladies for their generosity. Wu Crossing's fear of death reached a new level again, but this time, few women complained about him in their hearts, but were deeply shocked by the other party's words. In Wuhan City, Baby Dong, who had just returned to her bedroom, saw Wu Crossing's words. Her eyes widened, and her heart was filled with shock. At first, the other party said that she was almost scared to pee, and her face was full of sneers. What kind of big boss is against the sky? What kind of supreme giant? What kind of king of gods? The title is quite intimidating. Can the strength be compared with her own? But not long after, she saw the other party saying that these diary holders could accidentally destroy the entire Douluo continent, and she almost peed herself in fear. In the eyes of these women, the God King is just an ant. Becoming a god was her goal after years of struggle, not to mention the existence of the God King that she looked up to. These gods were just ants that those women could easily crush to death. At this moment, she thoroughly felt the deep malice from the diary system. Poseidon Island. Poseidon, who had always been calm, was deeply shocked when he saw the diary copy holders that Wu Crossing was talking about. As the spokesperson of the Poseidon in Douluo Continent, she knew more about the gods in the upper world than the Pope of the Spirit Hall, and it was because she understood the power of the gods in the upper world that she was more touched. How rebellious are those women? The Poseidon whom they believe in is just an ant in their eyes? Qiandao Royal Academy. Yi Lingling, at this moment, was also covering her mouth with disbelief. Du Guyan next to her was not much better. She had laughed at Wu Crossing for scaring him with a few names before. Now I understand the value of these names. They can destroy their world with a wave of their hands. Is it so scary? Is this something that a small soul sect like them can touch? Is this something they are qualified to know? You bastard Wu Crossing, you have to pay me for mental intimidation. No wonder Wu Crossing said he was a little panicked at that time. They are all panicked now, fearing that the other side can really come along the so-called network cable. They know that they may not be able to sleep tonight. If they had known, they would not have read the diary. Without a strong heart, they can't bear it at all. They can't bear it at all. Okay, let's stop here today, ladies. See you tomorrow. Wu Crossing said the last sentence and closed the diary panel. This is the rare time that he didn't say teasing words at the end of so many diaries. There is no way. Knowing that those heaven-defying big guys have diary copies, how dare he tease them? Otherwise he will travel into their world and be slaughtered and have no place to complain. Liu Shen is better. You have to know that the ruthless emperor has no feelings. If he really makes the other party unhappy, no matter whether you are the owner of the diary or not, he will kill you without any more nagging. Otherwise, he would not be called the ruthless emperor. He is cruel to others, and even crueler to himself. The reason why he lowered his posture in his diary just now was to take precautions. Looking at the time, Wu Crossing found that he had unknowingly written until the next day. It was now past 12 o'clock in the evening, just in time to receive the reward, so he immediately communicated with the system to receive the reward. Ding, it was detected that the host updated a diary, and the reward was a perfect 100,000-year soul ring. At the same time, as Wood Crossing's diary no longer showed subtitles, the entire Douluo Continent, no, not only the entire Douluo Continent, but also the beauties in many worlds, were destined to have trouble sleeping tonight. The news brought by the owner of the diary subverted their cognition. Can a person really destroy a world at will? Can a person really live through life after life? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Shrek People Arrive. 100,000 Years of Perfect Spirit Ring. Wood Crossing looked at the spirit ring in the diary warehouse with a dazzling red light, and his heart trembled slightly. He didn't expect that the system would be so generous today. Could it be because of the upgrade, so the reward was also upgraded? The thought flashed through his mind, and it remains to be verified whether it is the case. However, Wood Crossing is still very satisfied with today's reward. Although his spirit power is only level 31 now, and he can't use it for the time being, he believes that he will be able to absorb it soon. He has only been in this world for 8 days, but he has reached level 31 from level 30 spirit power 2 days ago. It has only been 6 days. This promotion speed is not slow, worthy of the innate spirit power level 30. Of course, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that with his speed of cultivation, he can definitely be promoted to the Spirit Master before the All-Continent Spirit Master competition. And with this 100,000 years of Spirit Ring, how can Tang-san, the jumping clown, pretend to be cool again? Let's not talk about the difference between the 10,000 years of Spirit Ring and the 100,000 years of Spirit Ring. The visual impact alone is not at the same level. After calming down, Wood Crossing reluctantly withdrew his gaze and looked at Suruaxi beside him. At this time, Suruaxi had not yet absorbed all the energy contained in the fairy grass, but it was not much behind. However, her soul power had increased from the original level 34 to level 38. If she absorbed all of it, she should be able to reach level 39, and she was only one step away from the Soul Master. Sure enough, as Wood Crossing expected, half an hour later, Suruaxi woke up, feeling the surging soul power in her body, her face full of excitement. How do you feel? Looking at his girlfriend who opened her eyes and showed an excited look, Wood Crossing asked with a smile. Wood Crossing, thank you. Suruaxi happily hugged her boyfriend's neck and took the initiative to offer a kiss. Faced with Suruaxi's actions, Wood Crossing naturally accepted it without hesitation and did not let go until the other party was out of breath. Suruaxi looked at her man with a blushing face, her beautiful eyes full of obsession, and then she answered excitedly, Wood Crossing, my soul power is now level 39. Level 39. It's about what I expected. Wood Crossing looked at it for a while, and then slowly asked, what about the martial soul? Has there been any changes? A fairy grass only increased by 5 levels. According to the description of the original work, this soul power level increase is considered to be relatively ordinary. Yes. Suruaxi nodded heavily, and then released her martial soul. In an instant, a Yaokin with 5 color light appeared in her hand. Originally, her Yaokin was only dark blue, but now it has undergone an amazing change, and transformed into a colorful one. My martial soul was originally called Bilan Kinshan, and now it has evolved into a top-level weapon martial soul Ling Lankinzi. Suruaxi stroked her Yaokin, and her love was fully revealed. She never thought that her martial soul could evolve and become the top-level weapon martial soul. Seeing Suruaxi's happy face, Wood Crossing was also happy for her. To be honest, the other party's martial spirit was seriously underestimated. You have to understand that in the anime, although she only appeared for less than a minute, she was one of the few with the skill of flying. The flying skill is not the flying skill after using the spirit skill. If you don't know, you can watch the 69th episode of the original anime. Such a martial spirit should not be so bad, but because of the supporting role, It is a background board for tanks and a step on, so it is not mentioned too much. Now that he has traveled to the Douluo world, and the other party has become his woman, he will naturally not let his woman behave in obscurity like in the original book. After taking back the martial spirit, Suruoxi looked at her man again, with a springy face and affectionate eyes. Looking at Suruoxi's charming face, Wood Crossing's heart couldn't help but be moved. The readers knew what would happen next without the author's description. The next day, the sun was high in the sky. The two people who slept in each other's arms walked out of the room. First, they went to Suruoxi's former dormitory and moved some of her things there. Now that they are like this, why would they live separately? Then they discussed where to go for fun today. Finally, they decided to go to Xiandao City. Anyway, there are still 2 days of vacation, and there is enough time to go to Xiandao City for a good stroll. Moreover, it is not far from Xiandao City, less than 20 miles away, and it only takes more than an hour to walk. But just when the two were about to leave, Du Guyan and Li Lingling found them again. Are you also free? Looking at the two women who came up, Wood Crossing was a little surprised. Are all soul masters so free? Du Guyan heard this, rolled her eyes, and said, it's not that I have free time, but I have more free time. Usually, except for the instructors calling the team together for training, and some theoretical classes, most of the time it is up to the soul masters to cultivate their soul power on their own. I see. Wood Crossing heard this, and nodded in understanding. He had forgotten that this was different from modern universities. The students in this world mainly cultivate their soul power to improve their strength, not to study hard. There are only a few theoretical classes a week, and there are more extracurricular activities. What do you have to do? Wood Crossing, who understood, asked. Du Guyan's forehead twitched when he heard it. Two beautiful women came to him and asked what was going on. Shouldn't you be happy? Seeing Du Guyan's expression, Yi Lingling knew that her good sister was angry with Wood Crossing and quickly stood up and said, Sister Yanan and I came to see you. There is nothing to do. We just want to thank you for your fairy grass. Of course, thanking is only one of the reasons. More importantly, they want to be more familiar with Wood Crossing. The diary last night scared the two girls. Wood Crossing's weight in their hearts has increased a lot. Although it is not to the extent of actively throwing himself into his arms, at least he should be the best friend, right? No need to thank me, you spent money. Wood Crossing shook his head and said, then curiously asked, have you absorbed the fairy grass? Yes. Yi Lingling nodded, and without waiting for the other party to continue asking, she told him the level of her soul power that had been improved. After Sister Yanan absorbed the fairy grass, her soul power increased from the original level 40 to level 43, and her martial spirit also evolved from the green scale snake to the green scale snake king. And my martial spirit did not evolve, but my soul power level increased from level 40 to level 46. Not bad. Wood Crossing praised. The nine-hearted begonia was originally one of the top healing martial spirits, and it was not surprising that there was no direct evolution. Suruoxi, who was standing aside, was shocked when she heard the soul power levels of the two women. She thought that she had absorbed the fairy grass like them, and perhaps the gap would be shortened, but she did not expect it to be so huge. Don't underestimate those levels. Even if you practice day and night, it will take more than a year to catch up, not to mention that they will also improve. Where are you going? Yi Lingling looked at Suruoxi and asked casually. Wood Crossing nodded and replied, I plan to go to Xiandao City with Ruoxi. You know, I just arrived in this world and I'm still relatively new to Douluo Continent. How about we go together? Sister Yanan and I haven't been to Xiandao City for a while. Yi Lingling asked with his eyes flickering. Wood Crossing was eager to make friends with these women who had diaries, but considering his own situation, he still looked at Suruoxi beside him. Seeing that his woman had no objection, he agreed. As the four of them walked out of the academy, the Shrek people, who had traveled a long way, also arrived at the Xiandao Royal Academy. Chapter 29 Simple Encounter. At the gate of Xiandao Royal Academy. At this time, Shrek and his party finally arrived here. Looking at the magnificent academy building in front of them, everyone had different thoughts. Some were shocked, some sighed, and some didn't care at all. But Xiaohu, Ningrangrang and Zhu King were different. They knew from the diary copy that this time joining Xiandao Royal Academy would not succeed, and it would be time to verify the authenticity. With some trepidation, some expectations, and all kinds of contradictions, they walked towards the academy, but they didn't take a few steps before trouble appeared. Sure enough, as the owner of the diary said, when they saw a team of Xiandao Royal Academy members blocking them, the three women were still shocked, even though they were mentally prepared. The owner of the diary could actually predict what would happen in the future, and knew their final outcome. While the three women were shocked, Wood Crossing and his companions also came here, and found the two groups of people in confrontation from a distance. His eyes lit up, and his pace couldn't help but speed up a bit. He came to the railing near that side and looked down. It's really them. Seeing this familiar scene in the anime, Wood Crossing felt that it was a coincidence that he actually saw one of the few scenes where Tang San would leave in disgrace. Su Ruoxi, Du Guyan, and Yi Lingling, who followed Wood Crossing, noticed the other party's strangeness and hurried up to follow him with doubts in their hearts. When they came to the railing, Du Guyan and Yi Lingling also saw two groups of people confronting each other not far below. It's them. Seeing the arrival of Tang San and others, Du Guyan and Yi Lingling couldn't help but look at each other, their faces full of surprise. I didn't expect them to really come and confront Zhu Avalanche. Du Guyan was surprised and looked at Wood Crossing on the side. He was really predicted by the guy in front of him. Hearing Du Guyan's words, Wood Crossing smiled slightly and said, "That's right, how could this be false?" The conversation between the two made Su Ruoxi confused. She didn't have a copy of the diary and didn't know what Wood Crossing had written before. Wood Crossing, should we come out and take care of it? Yi Lingling looked at it for a while and asked. No, it's rare to have a good show, so we will be the audience. Don't you think it's interesting? Wood Crossing shook his head and smiled. Yi Lingling was slightly stunned when she heard it, but she didn't say anything more. In fact, she didn't like such things very much. After all, she was also a member of Xiandao Royal Academy. Even if she knew that Zhu Beng was doing it on purpose, it reflected the overall quality of the academy. It can be said that if one prospers, all prosper, and if one suffers, all suffer. If the other party is slapped in the face, she will also be embarrassed. But since Wood Crossing said so, she gave up the idea of coming out to stop it. Wood Crossing was more important to her. While the few people were talking, the two groups in the confrontation finally started fighting, but the conflict came and went quickly. Zhu Beng was beaten down by Damu Bei in a few breaths. This guy really lost the face of the academy. Du Guyan, who was outspoken, looked at Zhu Beng, who was beaten down in a few moves, covering his head with a look of dismay. Haha. Wood Crossing also laughed when he heard this. Flanders and other Shrek instructors twitched their lips when they saw this scene. They never thought that the students of Xiandao Royal Academy would have such poor fighting quality. These are the students of Xiandao Royal Academy. They are just a bunch of garbage. I can't help but wonder if coming here is a wrong decision. Flanders, who was still a little upset about his students joining Xiandao Royal Academy, couldn't help but look at Zhao Wuji. Flanders' words made Zhao Wuji smile bitterly. He couldn't figure out the reason. The royal fighting team that fought hard with the little monsters last time was not like this. Although Flanders' words were not very loud, they were heard by Du Guyan. She immediately slapped the railing in dissatisfaction and subconsciously mobilized her soul power. She wanted to rush over to get back the face of the academy that was lost by Zhu Beng, but was stopped by Wood Crossing. Don't be impulsive. What he said is not wrong. Why are you in such a hurry? If you want to avenge your previous shame, wouldn't it be better to defeat them in front of thousands of people in the all-continent elite competition? Hearing this, Du Guyan suppressed his anger, but his eyes were still blazing with fire as he stared at the Shrek people below. The soul power that Du Guyan mobilized naturally did not escape the Soul Saints Flanders and Zhao Wuji. Following the soul power fluctuations, they happened to see Du Guyan staring at them angrily. Not to mention Tang San, who was hanging on the wall. He also discovered Du Guyan not far above at the first time, and his pupils condensed slightly. Noticing the changes in the teacher, Zhao Wu and others also looked in the direction of his gaze, and were immediately stunned. It's the two female members of the royal fighting team back then. Ma Hongjin was the first to exclaim, and as for Wood Crossing, he automatically ignored it. Unlike Ma Hongjian and Oscar, Flanders and others glanced at Du Guyan and Li Lingling, and then looked at Wu Crossing with suspicion. They knew that Du Guyan was about to attack just now, but was stopped by the other party's words. This person is not simple. Such thoughts suddenly emerged in their minds. More than 3 months ago, they knew how arrogant Du Guyan was. Even Kinming, her mentor, did not listen to her and used the green-scaled snake venom. How could the other party be simple to make such an arrogant little girl behave so obediently? In addition, this person was not a member of the royal fighting team at the beginning, which surprised them even more. Could it be that Xiandao Royal Academy still has hidden powerful students? Just as they were thinking, Kinming, who heard the fighting sound, also rushed over. After finding out that it was Flanders and others, he immediately stepped forward to greet them. Let's go, there's no more show to watch. Seeing Kinming appear, Wu Crossing also knew that the matter ended here. They would meet with the people from the Academy's education committee later. He wanted to go and observe, but after thinking about it, he decided not to. Now is not the time to be so high profile. The girls nodded, retracted their gazes, and followed Wu Crossing toward the Academy gate. Walking down the stairs, passing by the Shrek people, they greeted Kinming, and symbolically looked at the 3 Shrek beauties, and then left without looking back. Facing Wu Crossing's obscure gaze, Tang San's heart skipped a beat. It was not until the other party left that he asked, Brother Kinming, who was the leading man just now. Hearing Tang San's question, Flanders, Yu Xiaogang and others also looked at Kinming. As for Wu Crossing's identity, their mentors were also very interested. The man you are talking about, his name is Benilan. Wu Crossing's real name has not been publicized. He was a student who was specially recruited into the academy the day before yesterday. Kinming looked at the direction where Wu Crossing left and answered slowly, what? Before Tang San could react, Flanders and Yu Xiaogang were the first to exclaim. They may not know much about the special recruit of Xiandao Royal Academy, but since Du Guyan and Li Lingling follow his lead right after joining the academy, this student must have a great background. And then, Kinming's answer also confirmed their guess. Chapter 30 Shocked Shrek people. Looking at the somewhat surprised instructor Flanders and others, Kinming slowly said, I also know a little about the specific situation of that student. It seems that a teacher of our academy met a civilian spirit master when he was taking students to the Sunset Forest to obtain spirit rings. Civilian spirit master? Flanders and others were even more surprised when they heard it. They knew a little about what the Xiandao Royal Academy was like. Most of the people who entered here were noble children from the empire and its affiliated kingdoms, and there were very few civilian spirit masters. And a civilian spirit master could make the granddaughter of the green scale Douluo obey his orders, which was as incredible as the sudden sinking of an island country in modern times. Yeah. Kinming nodded, and then said in a somewhat excited voice, but this civilian soul master is very unusual, and one thing even breaks the cognition of our soul master world. Kinming paused slightly, and then said heavily, as we all know, a soul master has a limit to absorbing soul rings, but he doesn't have this statement. Although he is only a soul master, he has 3 10,000-year soul rings. What? How is this possible? After hearing Kinming's words, everyone exclaimed, and Yu Xiaogang said bluntly that it was impossible. Seeing his former mentors showing an unbelievable look, Kinming also sighed. At first I didn't believe it, but then I saw him release his martial spirit. It was true. After hearing this, several people looked at each other in surprise. This shock was too great for them, especially for Yu Xiaogang and Tang San. Yu Xiaogang felt that the other party broke his theory, and this behavior was just a slap in his face, right? His face immediately darkened. Tang San felt that there were actually people who were more powerful than him, the son of destiny. He would not allow anyone more powerful than himself to exist in this world. All of a sudden, Wu Crossing was hated by the two before he even slapped them in the face. They were indeed the strongest and most sanctimonious master-disciple combination. On the contrary, Xiao Wu and the other girls did not react that much when they heard that Wu Crossing had 3 10,000-year spirit rings. With the diary copy, their horizons had already been raised to a level that ordinary people could not reach. 10,000-year spirit rings were nothing. It seemed that there were people in other worlds who could destroy Douluo Continent with a snap of their fingers. Moreover, after Zhu King reached the Soul Master level, he could also absorb a 10,000-year spirit ring that exceeded his own limit. And this student's actual combat ability is not bad either. He defeated Yanzi, who was already a soul sect, with a level 31 spirit power. Kinming once again dropped a heavy bomb, shocking everyone in Shrek. 3. Level 31 defeated a level 40 soul sect? The few people who heard this took a breath of cold air again, and felt that the world suddenly became strange. Kinming nodded, as if he thought of something, and then smiled. It's quite a coincidence that this student's martial spirit is the same as Tang San's martial spirit. Both are blue silver grass. Everyone was stunned and looked at Tang San. At this time, Tang San's heart had completely sunk, but his face did not show it, pretending to be calm and said, "It's indeed quite a coincidence." At the same time, on the other side, Wood Crossing and the three girls had already walked out of the academy. "I didn't expect you to be able to stay calm when you saw those three girls." Du Guyan, who walked out of the academy, couldn't help but tease Wood Crossing. She remembered that the guy in front of her was very greedy for the three beauties of Shrek. Now he left without even saying hello when they met. This seems a bit inconsistent with his usual personality, right? Wood Crossing rolled his eyelids and said unhappily, "I'm not a pedophile. Why would I be interested now?" He did not deny that he did have thoughts about the three beauties of Shrek, but that was 5 years after the end of the all-continental Soul Master competition. Now they are just underage girls. And to be honest, among the three Shrek beauties of this age, except Zhu King, they are barely passable. Ningrangrang and Xiao Wu are not grown up yet, especially Xiao Wu, who is really ordinary now. Sure enough, you still like old women. Du Guyan was stunned at first, and then laughed foolishly. Wood Crossing heard it, and his mouth twitched, saying, "Do you believe that I will write it tomorrow?" Don't, I'm just joking with you." Du Guyan immediately became timid. What a joke. If the other party wrote it, wouldn't the Pope have to talk to her immediately? It's good that you know. Wood Crossing looked at Du Guyan, who was scared in an instant, and curled his lips. "You are too young to fight me. But speaking of it, Wood Crossing, is what you said before true? Are those women really that scary?" Thinking of the several diary copy holders who made her toss and turn last night, Du Guyan asked again. "Of course, you think I'm joking with you." Wood Crossing glanced at Du Guyan lightly, and then answered. Du Guyan, who got a positive answer, still had some disbelief on her face. "This is too exaggerated. I really can't imagine how those women can be so powerful. What a terrifying existence it is to destroy a world with a wave of hand. What's so strange about this? I can only say that you have little knowledge." Wood Crossing finished speaking, and then continued, "In my original world, Douluo Continent is called the sewer of the fantasy world." "What do you mean?" Du Guyan was surprised, and Yilingling next to him was no exception. Looking at the two surprised women, Wood Crossing did not explain, but said, "It's hard to understand, even if I tell you now. I will write it in my diary when I'm interested one day, and you will understand it through the diary annotations at that time." "Oh," Du Guyan said, and was not in a hurry to know the answer. Suruaxi, who was next to her, saw the conversation between the two. She was originally happy to accompany her man to play, but now she was very disappointed, just because she couldn't understand the conversation between them. Not to mention interrupting. Even wanting to understand one or two of them was a luxury. Okay, learn from Lingling. Don't be so blind, and keep asking random questions. Wood Crossing had noticed Suruax's mood long ago. Seeing that Du Guyan wanted to ask something, he interrupted her immediately. Didn't this little girl realize that her best sister didn't say anything from beginning to end? She has been taking care of Suruax's feelings, but you are still babble non-stop. After Wood Crossing's reminder, Du Guyan finally reacted and said with an apologetic look, "Sister Ruaxi, I'm sorry, I talk too much." "No, it's okay," Suruaxi said with a forced smile. "Ruaxi, we don't have to pay attention to her." Wood Crossing held Suruax's hand tightly and then continued to comfort her. "From now on, your man will tell you the content of each diary he writes." "Yeah." Suruaxi nodded softly, and her face finally stopped looking lost. Du Guyan, who was next to her, heard this and her face darkened. It was fine for this dog man to say that she had no vision, but he actually showed off his love in front of her. However, considering Suruaxi's situation, she did not refute the other party. After all, they were the couple, and it would be very unethical for her to take over. Chapter 31 Xiandao City. Xiandao City is the capital of the Xiandao Empire. As one of the largest and most majestic cities in Douluo Continent, the city wall alone is 100 meters high, and is made of the hardest granite. On and under the city, the soldiers patrolling and standing guard are all in full armor, holding spears and patrolling back and forth. Facing such a scene, Wu Crossing, who traveled from the modern era, can imagine the shock in his heart. Although many people on the internet discuss how Douluo Continent is a sewer in the fantasy world, he can punch Soul Douluo and step on titled Douluo with his physical body in the past. Putting these aside for the time being, the visual impact brought by the building in front of him is real. As if feeling the shock in Wu Crossing's heart, Du Guyan, who had been quiet for a while, jumped out again, winking and smiling. "Are you stunned?" Wu Crossing looked at Du Guyan, who wanted to get back at the first opportunity, and was speechless. This girl really has a short memory. Without answering, Wu Crossing took Suruaxi's hand and walked inside. Seeing Wu Crossing ignoring her, Du Guyan was like a deflated ball, as if every time she threw a heavy punch, since the confrontation with the opponent, it seemed as if she would hit cotton. The feeling of powerlessness made her crazy. The road in Xiandao City is very wide, a full 15 meters long. Wu Crossing looked around with interest along the main road. The city is extremely prosperous, with a wide variety of vendors and stalls on the street, and some large stores on both ends, which is not much different from modern Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou and Shenzhen. Knowing that her man came from another world, Suruaxi would introduce various architectural landmarks to Wu Crossing wherever she went. In this way, I don't know how long it took, and how many streets they bypassed, the flow of people gradually began to increase. Looking carefully, it was obvious that this was the main commercial area of Xiandao City. Wu Crossing, let's go in and take a look. Suruaxi came to a shop and stopped. Wu Crossing, who heard the words, looked at it, and was slightly stunned. This is a shop selling clothes, and it seems to be selling men's clothing. Okay. Wu Crossing nodded without thinking too much. His woman was indeed thoughtful. When he traveled through time, he appeared in the Sunset Forest, and wore a set of modern clothes. After arriving at Xiandao Royal Academy, he received several uniforms of the academy, but he couldn't wear school uniforms everywhere in the future, right? When he entered the clothing store, the salesperson greeted him enthusiastically, and his respectful attitude made Wu Crossing look sideways. But then he thought about it again. He was wearing the school uniform of Xiandao Royal Academy. As a businessman in Xiandao City, how could he not know that those who could enter there were all children of nobles, so they naturally had to please them. In addition, the three girls around him were all top beauties, which was rare in the entire Xiandao City. This pomp was not ordinary nobles. After coming in, Suruaxi was completely devoted to her man. She carefully selected for him, and asked Du Guyan and Li Lingling for reference from time to time. This made Wu Crossing feel the feeling of being surrounded by beauties. Wu Crossing is very handsome, and his height is the most standard 1.8 meters. He is like a clothes rack. He can easily control any kind of clothing, and show his charming temperament. Du Guyan and Li Lingling were stunned. He is handsome, has temperament, and most importantly, he is strong. For girls at this stage, his attraction is undoubtedly fatal. Du Guyan and Li Lingling are like this, not to mention Suruaxi. Her eyes are full of spring light. If it weren't for the public occasion, I'm afraid she would have been unable to resist the impulse in her heart, and rushed to kiss him. After coming out of the men's clothing store, they walked towards the street in front and soon entered another store. But this time it was a women's store. It was Wu Crossing who started to judge the matching for his woman. I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional. After Suruaxi bought a few sets of clothes, Du Guyan and Li Lingling both let him be the audience. Wu Crossing, if you are interested in Sister Yan'an and Sister Lingling, I won't object. Just as Du Guyan and Li Lingling entered the fitting room, Suruaxi suddenly leaned close to Wu Crossing's ear and whispered. Wu Crossing was shocked when he heard this, and then looked at Suruaxi in disbelief. He could never have thought that his woman, who had just confirmed her relationship with him for 2 days, would let him find a woman. There is such a good thing in the world. Seeing Wu Crossing's incredible eyes, Su Ruoxi blushed slightly and lowered her head, explaining, I think Sister Yan'an and Sister Lingling are both very good to you. That's because I'm the owner of the diary. They know that I have a great opportunity, so they will naturally make friends with me. After listening to Su Ruoxi's explanation, Wu Crossing smiled dumbly. In fact, the reason why Su Ruoxi said this was not simply because of this, but because she knew in the past 2 days that her man was a soaring dragon. There will be many beautiful women throwing themselves into his arms in the future, and she will not be the only woman in the future. Even if Du Guyan and Li Lingling hadn't appeared, she couldn't keep it. It would be better to let the 2 women become sisters, at least they know each other well. In addition, there are many nobles in Douluo Continent, and there is no concept of monogamy, so she said this. In addition, she also found that her man's physical fitness in that aspect is far better than hers. With the increase of soul power level, it will probably become more and more obvious. Now she can't bear it. What should she do in the future? I know, but I think Sister Yan'an and Sister Lingling are pretty good. It doesn't matter if I accept them. Su Ruoxi answered carefully. Wu Crossing was almost moved to tears when he heard it, and then said, Ruoxi, I understand your thoughts. Although I admit that I'm a playboy, there are so many women in the diary copy. Can you accept them all when you meet in the future? I don't mind. Su Ruoxi's words are shocking. Wu Crossing opened his mouth and didn't say anything for a long time. This girl probably doesn't know what she is talking about. If he really wants to accept them all, can he handle it? One a day? It would probably take years. To do it in turns, that would be a waste of my life. Okay, don't mess around with matchmaking, let it go. If I really fall in love with a beauty, I'll tell you. Wu Crossing waved his hand. With such a considerate woman, he didn't want to hurt her, but it's impossible to collect all of them. The thought of this is not acceptable. If the holder of the diary copy is just a beauty from the Douluo world, it's fine. You can yaw as much as you can, but forget about the all heaven and earth. While the 2 were talking, the door of the fitting room opened, and Du Guyan and Li Lingling came out. At this time, they had changed back to their original sets. Seeing Su Ruoxi's strange look, Du Guyan couldn't help but ask, Sister Ruoxi, what's wrong with you? Why are you so red? No, nothing. Su Ruoxi shook her head hurriedly. She didn't dare to tell Wu Crossing about her conversation just now. Oh. Du Guyan didn't think much about it, and then told the salesperson to pack the clothes she bought and put them into the soul guide. Perhaps because of this episode, Su Ruoxi became even more intimate with the 2 girls, which made Wu Crossing helpless and happy. This girl was determined to find a sister for herself. Chapter 32 Du Gubo. The group of people walked around until the sun went down without them noticing. Wu Crossing was a little impressed. Whether it was the women in his previous life or the women in Douluo Continent, they all seemed to have a special liking for this. However, he did not feel bored. Instead, he looked unsatisfied because he had had enough of the sight. He had to admire the greatness of Chinese comics. Whether it was in ancient times or in the fantasy world, it pioneered the pairing of stockings with high heels. Otherwise, he would not have experienced the 3 women surrounding him, wearing stockings of various colors and styles, shaking their seductive long legs, making his eyes overwhelmed, as if they were growing on them. After walking out of the commercial district and looking at the dark sky, Du Guyan invited Wu Crossing, Sister Ruoxi, why don't you stay at the hotel tonight and stay at my house with Lingling? Hearing Du Guyan's invitation, Su Ruoxi took the lead and said, okay, then I'm sorry to bother Sister Yan'an. The friendship between women is so magical. After just one day of shopping, the relationship between the 2 sides has risen to the level of best friends. Although this was Su Ruoxi's intention, it was also quite quick. Seeing his girlfriend agree, Wu Crossing naturally had no problem. After all, Du Guyan's grandfather was a guest of the Xiandao Empire's royal family, and he had a mansion awarded by Emperor Zuyi. It didn't matter where he lived. Seeing the 2 agreed, Du Guyan was delighted, which represented a further step in the friendship between the 2 sides. Under the leadership of Du Guyan, several people soon arrived in front of a huge mansion. Looking at the magnificent building in front of him, Wu Crossing sighed in his heart again. It was indeed a noble mansion, and it was magnificent. Entering the mansion, two maids came to the front. Du Guyan immediately asked, Xiaolin, where is my grandfather? Reply, miss, the master went out at noon, and hasn't come back yet. The maid replied respectfully, Grandpa is really, it's dark and he hasn't come back yet. Du Guyan heard this and muttered. She invited Wu Crossing to her home as a guest. In addition to building a good relationship, she also wanted to introduce him to her grandfather, but she didn't expect that her grandfather was not there. Haha, I heard someone talking about me when I just entered the door. It turns out that my precious granddaughter is back. Just as Du Guyan finished speaking, a hearty laugh came from behind. Grandpa. Du Guyan turned around happily when he heard it. Wu Crossing and the others also turned around, but when he looked in the direction of the voice, his eyes narrowed slightly. It was because Du Gubo was holding a person in his hand. This person was none other than Tang San. Du Guyan also saw Tang San being held by her grandfather. She was slightly stunned and immediately asked, Grandpa, how did you catch this guy? Du Gubo did not answer his granddaughter's words. At this moment, he looked at Wu Crossing with a bright gaze, and the sharp light rushed towards him. Feeling Du Gubo's pressing gaze, Wu Crossing stepped forward a few steps, raised his hand slightly and said, Junior Wu Crossing, meet Senior Debu. Du Gubo still did not speak, staring at Wu Crossing with sharp eyes, and it is unknown what he was thinking in his mind. At this time, Du Guyan, who found that her grandfather was different, was immediately startled. She hurried forward and took Du Gubo's arm and said, Grandpa, don't be like this. Du Gubo, who was shaken by his granddaughter, retracted his narrowed eyes, turned back to stroke Du Guyan's head, and asked with a smile, Yan, why don't you introduce me to your grandfather? Seeing that her grandfather finally stopped releasing that terrifying aura, Du Guyan immediately pulled Du Gubo to Wu Crossing and introduced him happily. Grandpa, this is Wu Crossing, my good friend, and also a student specially recruited by our academy. He is very powerful. He beat me as a level 31 Soul Master. This is Suru Arxi, also a student of our academy, and also my good sister. Du Guyan introduced sweetly, and then looked at Wu Crossing, and said with a smile, Wu Crossing, this is my grandfather. You just said it, so I don't need to introduce you. Hello, Senior Debu. Wu Crossing raised his hand again. Yeah. Du Gubo responded at this time, but he didn't give him a good look. It was the first time he saw his precious granddaughter bring a boy of the same age to his home. For a moment, he felt that the cabbage he had worked so hard to raise was eaten by a pig. But even if it didn't seem to be far away, it wouldn't be long. His always proud precious granddaughter couldn't fake her happiness when she mentioned the man in front of her, especially when she praised the other party after losing. She felt a pang of pain in her heart. According to the granddaughter's usual personality, if she lost two others in a soul fight, she would never behave like this. She would be unconvinced and want to get back at them. But now this boy can make his precious granddaughter make such a big change. Would he believe that there was nothing between them? Grandpa, Wu Crossing is a good friend I invited. If you do this, I will never talk to you again. Looking at her grandfather's stern face, Du Guyan stomped her feet in anger. She didn't know that her grandfather had misunderstood their relationship. This threat made Du Gubo want to spit out blood. The granddaughter he had raised with great difficulty was now threatening an outsider. As a grandfather, he really lived up to the old saying that once she had a boyfriend, she would forget about her grandfather. Grandpa Debu. When Du Gubo was heartbroken and stamping his feet and beating his chest, Yi Lingling called him sweetly. Du Gubo saw that it was Yi Lingling, and a kind smile appeared on his face that was completely different from when he was facing Wu Crossing, and he said, it's Lingling, you and Yan came to the house together. Yes, Grandpa Dubu. Yi Lingling responded sweetly, and then said, Grandpa Dubu, Lingling also came with Wu Crossing. She probably understood why Senior Dugu didn't treat Wu Crossing well, so she took the initiative to stand up and help him out. Du Gubo was shocked. He was not unfamiliar with Yi Lingling. She was a good friend of his precious granddaughter and often visited his home. Du Gubo knew her character very well. Unlike his granddaughter's straightforwardness, she was elegant and quiet. Now she actually took the initiative to stand up. Could it be that this boy in front of him was not simple? Secretly surprised, Douluo decided to find a time to ask him alone, and now he should not make his granddaughter angry. Thinking of this, Douluo immediately changed his face and smiled and said flatteringly, "Yan, Grandpa was wrong. Grandpa was wrong." Humph. Douluo raised his head proudly and then said, "Wood Crossing is a guest. You can't have a stern face." Okay, Grandpa listens to you. Everything you say." Douluo agreed again and again. Only then did Douluo nod with satisfaction, and then looked at Wood Crossing apologetically and said, "Wood Crossing, my grandpa was just joking. Don't take it to heart. Senior Douluo has a heroic temperament. I won't care." Wood Crossing replied with a smile. Seeing that Wood Crossing didn't take it to heart, Douluo breathed a sigh of relief. She had invited Wood Crossing to be her guest with great difficulty in order to make friends with him, and she couldn't let this backfire. Chapter 33, Shock Douluo. Looking at his granddaughter's humble attitude, Douluo's mouth twitched several times. When did his granddaughter of poisoned Douluo need to please others? But in the end, he held back his intention to attack and invited several people to enter the living room, but Wood Crossing pulled him to the least popular list. "Zhutian, you clean up the 2 guest rooms. My friend will stay here tonight. In addition, ask Aunt Xing to prepare dinner and make it rich." After arriving in the living room, Douluo hurriedly ordered the maid to go down. "Okay, miss." Zhutian responded and retreated. Looking at his granddaughter who cared so much, Douluo was troubled again. He couldn't vent his anger on Wood Crossing, fearing that his precious granddaughter would be angry with him, but he was not so polite to Tang-san. He directly used the other party as a punching bag and threw him into the corner next to him. Bang! Poor Tang-san took the blame again, his face facing the ground, and he fell flat on his face. I don't know if his nose was broken. Seeing Douluo's actions, Wood Crossing felt that the old man seemed to be doing it on purpose for him to see. He didn't seem to have offended the old man, did he? He had been targeted since he entered this mansion. Could it be about the fairy grass? This was possible. He had dug up all of his fairy garden. Douluo had done enough ideological work for him by not getting angry. Of course, Wood Crossing didn't know that Douluo had never said that he dug up the fairy grass, and Douluo didn't know that Wood Crossing was the culprit who destroyed his fairy garden. If he knew that even his precious granddaughter couldn't persuade him, he would not be able to keep him. "Grandpa, why did you catch this guy?" Looking at Tang-san, who was thrown unconscious in the corner by his grandfather without any hesitation, Douluo didn't care at all, but asked curiously. Obviously, Douluo's personality was similar to her grandfather's, both good and evil, straightforward, with a girl's sunny mentality and a dark side. Only Wood Crossing could make her control her temper. Wood Crossing was also very interested in Douluo's inquiry. He had snatched all the opportunities of Tang-san, so how could this guy still be captured by Douluo as in the original book? Douluo glanced at Tang-san in the corner, chuckled and said, Yan, Grandpa wanted to capture him to ask how he broke the poison of your third soul skill, so that he could vent his anger for you, so he captured him. Grandpa, you don't have to vent my anger for me. I will get back at him myself. When the time comes, I will defeat him in front of thousands of people in the all-continent high-level Soul Master Elite competition. Douluo said proudly. Douluo burst into tears after hearing this. This is the precious granddaughter I'm familiar with. It's all the fault of this kid in front of me. My good granddaughter has become so strange that I thought she would never come back. Thinking of this, Douluo looked at Wood Crossing hatefully again. This made Wood Crossing on the side feel puzzled. This old guy started again. However, Wood Crossing was not optimistic about Douluo's words. Tang-san was the son of destiny of Douluo Continent, and he had all kinds of Tang sect hidden weapons hanging on the wall. It was a pipe dream for her to defeat him. Okay. Douluo retracted his gaze and looked at his precious granddaughter again, saying it 3 times in a row. Seeing his grandfather laughing heartily, Douluo seemed to have thought of something, and a cunning look appeared on his face. He said proudly, Grandpa, my soul power is now level 43. Soul power level 43. Great. Wait, what did you say? Your soul power is level 43. Douluo praised subconsciously, and then found something wrong, and his eyes widened instantly. He remembered that his precious granddaughter's soul power was only level 39 half a month ago, and it was level 43 after half a month. 4 levels of soul power in half a month. How is this possible? Seeing her grandfather's unbelieving eyes, Douluo Yan pouted and said angrily, "Grandpa, can your granddaughter still lie to you?" Grandpa doesn't disbelieve, but Yan, what you said is really a bit exaggerated. Douluo said in disbelief. He is a titled Douluo, so his talent is needless to say, but it is impossible for him to increase his soul power from level 39 to level 43 in half a month. He can't even do it at level 2. You just don't believe it. Douluo Yan pretended to be angry, and then stretched out her hand, and handed it over. If you don't believe it, check it. Douluo subconsciously held it, and his soul power probed over. The suspicious expression on his face disappeared, and then he was full of surprise. His precious granddaughter's soul power level really reached level 43. How is it, granddaughter didn't lie to you? Seeing the shocked grandfather, Douluo Yan said proudly. She just revealed a little soul power now, which made her grandfather feel incredible. If she releases the 10,000-year soul ring and the evolved martial soul next, I'm afraid it will be shocking to her grandfather. Douluo swallowed his saliva, and then asked tremblingly, Yan, how did you do it? I'll tell you how I did it later. Take a look at this. Douluo Yan said with a smile, and then mobilized her soul power. The next second, 4 soul rings appeared under her feet, yellow, purple, and black. The dazzling black 10,000-year soul rings were so dazzling that Douluo, who was already shocked, was dumbfounded. Even he, who was already a titled Douluo, couldn't sit still, and stood up from his chair. Grandpa, take a closer look at your granddaughter's martial spirit. Douluo Yan was very satisfied with her grandfather's performance. It was her lifelong goal to make her grandfather, a titled Douluo, lose his composure like this. Hearing this, Douluo looked at it in a favorable way. At this glance, his snake-like pupils shrank again. He saw that, although the overall spirit of the green phosphorus snake did not change much, the 2 huge red snake crowns on the crown were unusually obvious. Green phosphorus snaking. Douluo exclaimed, with an incredible look in his eyes. As a titled Douluo, Douluo has a deep understanding of his own martial soul. The starting point of the green phosphorus snake is not the top among the beast martial souls, but he also knows that, if there is an opportunity, it can evolve into the green phosphorus snaking. When he was young, he had an opportunity to evolve his martial soul, and since then he has established the title of green phosphorus Douluo. He never expected that his granddaughter would give him such a big surprise. The soul power level increased by 4 levels in half a month, and the 4th ring was a 10,000-year soul ring. The martial soul has evolved into the same top beast martial soul as him, the green phosphorus snaking. In this way, his precious granddaughter will be able to reach the title Douluo like him in the future? How can he not be happy and excited? Douluo, who was shocked for a long time, and came to his senses, asked tremblingly, Yan, how did you do it? Tell grandpa quickly. Whether it was the soul power increasing by 4 levels in half a month, or the 10,000-year soul ring, or the evolved green phosphorus snaking, he couldn't wait to know what happened to his precious granddaughter in the past half month. Douluo Yan laughed, then looked at Wu Crossing beside him and slowly replied, it was Wu Crossing. He gave his granddaughter a magical herb, and then I did it. Since the matter of the diary copy could not be mentioned, Douluo Yan attributed the credit to Wu Crossing. What? Douluo heard it, and immediately widened his eyes, and looked at Wu Crossing in disbelief. Chapter 34, Vomiting Blood Tang-san. Who is this kid in front of him? He actually gave Yan such a great opportunity. At this moment, Douluo's favorability towards Wu Crossing increased a lot. Although he didn't know what the fairy grass was, something that could allow a soul master to directly improve his soul power level, and could also exceed his own limit to absorb soul rings, in Douluo's opinion, and even evolve martial souls, was definitely a rare treasure. No wonder Yan didn't lose the soul battle competition as usual. It turned out that this was the reason. After just a moment, Douluo thought that this kid might abduct his precious granddaughter, and he felt uncomfortable again. Fairy grass is precious and priceless. Even if he generously gave it to Yan'an, if she was abducted, wouldn't it all be his in the end? From this point of view, it seems that this kid will not suffer any loss, and he also has this title Douluo as a backer. Wu Crossing didn't know what Douluo was thinking. If he knew what he was thinking at this moment, he would probably laugh to death. It turns out that this poison Douluo, who is known as the Poison Overlord, is still obsessed with granddaughters. Douluo didn't know what Douluo was thinking at the moment. In order to make his grandfather not look down on Wu Crossing and to make his grandfather pay more attention to him, he continued to preach, and Ling Ling's soul power has now reached level 46, all of which is Wu Crossing's credit. Douluo was shocked again when he heard this. Wasn't he only level 36 soul master before? He actually increased by 10 levels in less than 3 months. Are you kidding me? Douluo felt that Wu Crossing's identity was not simple. Not to mention the treasure, there was more than one. Could it be that the other party was from the upper 3 sects or the spirit hall? Wu Crossing, right? I wonder which big family you are from? Douluo looked at Wu Crossing with a smile, which was completely different from his previous attitude of not giving him a face. Hearing Douluo's question, Wu Crossing smiled and replied, Senior Debu, I'm not from any big family, but a commoner. A commoner? Douluo was stunned. He could never have thought that the boy in front of him would be a commoner. Seeing the surprised grandfather, Douluo said like offering a treasure, Grandpa, Wu Crossing is indeed a civilian spirit master, but don't underestimate him. Although he is born a civilian and his spirit power is only level 31, his strength is much stronger than your granddaughter, and he has 3 10,000-year spirit rings. What? Douluo exclaimed again. The shock brought to him today was too much. Level 31 spirit power, stronger than Yan, and 3 10,000-year spirit rings? Are you sure this is not an international joke with him? If Douluo hadn't shown her martial spirit and spirit rings just now, he would have thought that his precious granddaughter was trying hard to persuade the other party for her to accept this grandson-in-law. While his heart was shocked, his face was calm and praised, young and promising, young and promising. Senior Debu, you are too kind. Wu Crossing looked indifferent. Wu Crossing's expression made Douluo slightly stunned again. A civilian spirit master could still maintain a humble attitude under the praise of his title Douluo. Shouldn't he be flattered? Douluo had a better impression of the boy in front of him. Just as he was about to say something, he frowned and looked at Tangsun lying in the corner. Tangsun let out a cry of pain, and then he saw him wake up from his coma. Tangsun woke up, felt the burning face, and reached out to rub it. Suddenly he thought of something. His face changed drastically, and he quickly got up from the ground and looked around. When he saw Douluo and others looking at him, his face became even uglier, and he said angrily, "It's you. Boy, you're awake." Douluo looked at Tangsun who was glaring at him, his face full of amusement. Tangsun did not answer. With a gloomy face, he looked at Douluo and said hatefully, "Douluo, I didn't expect you to be so vicious. You lost to me in the soul fight 3 months ago, and you actually let your grandfather come out." Douluo was sick when he heard it. Is he vicious? He lost to him in the soul fight, and he let his grandfather come out? When did she become so unethical? Although she was indeed not convinced at the time, she could not tolerate others slandering her, and it was this double standard King Tangsun. Tangsun, stop talking nonsense. When did I ask my grandfather to intervene? You are just a waste. Do you still need my grandfather to do it? I'm enough. Douluo scolded angrily. She originally planned to throw the other party out later, but now it seems that if she doesn't give the other party some color, she will be unworthy of being slandered. Just relying on your poison? It's just garbage. Tangsun sneered. What did you say? Without waiting for Douluo to speak, Douluo could not sit still after hearing Tangsun's arrogant words. The other party called his granddaughter's poison garbage, which was looking down on him. Douluo couldn't bear that his granddaughter was bullied. The green light in his eyes suddenly shone brightly. He just raised his hand slightly, and Tangsun's body was thrown out by an irresistible force and hit the wall behind him heavily. Cough cough. The severe pain made Tangsun cough up some blood continuously. After he eased a little, he looked at Douluo with a ferocious look. Old rubbish, your poison is just like this. If my soul power is not so different from yours, how can I allow you to be so arrogant? You are just good at talking. Douluo waved his hand again. Tang San, who had finally stood up, hit the wall again, which was very miserable. Wow. Tang San spat out a mouthful of blood, struggled to get up from the ground again, and sneered. Your poison is still rubbish to me. Other people's poison skills are to poison the enemy, but you have even poisoned yourself. Isn't your poison rubbish? Huh. Douluo's pupils condensed when he heard this, and he stared at Tang San, trying to judge from this guy's face whether he was bluffing him. Douluo, who was standing aside, heard that his grandfather had been deeply poisoned, and his heart tightened, and he looked at his grandfather at the same time. Even Yilingling was stunned, but his eyes were looking at Wu Crossing. Whether this matter was true or not, he should know. Haha, I've exposed you, old rubbish. Whenever it's cloudy and rainy, do you feel numbness and itchiness in your ribs? Also, every late night, you feel a tingling pain on the top of your head and the soles of your feet, and your whole body cramps. This feeling is not good, right? Tang San laughed wildly. Listening to Tang San's explanation, Douluo was shocked. What the other party said was actually right. Douluo was even more anxious after hearing this. Grandpa was her only relative in the world. How could she sit still? She hurriedly asked, Grandpa, is what he said true? Are you really poisoned? Douluo did not answer. He didn't want to make his granddaughter worry. This proved what Tang San said, making Douluo very anxious. Sister Yan, don't worry. Isn't Wu Crossing here? Even if Grandpa Douluo is deeply poisoned, there is a way. Yilingling looked at Wu Crossing, who was watching the show calmly on the side, and realized that the other party really knew what was going on, and there was a way to detoxify, so she comforted him. Yes, there is Wu Crossing. Douluo heard this, as if a drowning person grabbed a life-saving straw, and immediately came to his senses, and looked at Wu Crossing. Tang San, who had originally wanted to threaten Douluo with the poisoning, heard Yilingling's words. His eyes widened, and shot straight to Wu Crossing's location. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35. Slap Tang San. Wu Crossing, can you cure the poison in my grandfather? Douluo looked at Wu Crossing expectantly, but she was very nervous. Grandpa is a master of poison. If he can't cure the poison, what kind of terrible poison can it be? Looking at Douluo's expectant look, and noticing Tang San's gloomy eyes, Wu Crossing chuckled imperceptibly, nodded and said, I can cure the poison in Senior Debut, but have you forgotten your chance? Why worry about these things, when you have that thing? Originally, he didn't intend to give Tang San any chance to show off in front of him. Even if Douluo didn't ask, he would come forward. Now that the other party asked first, it would be even better. But I have to wake up this girl. With the great opportunity of the diary copy, she was still so panicked when encountering things, which led to being bluffed by Tang San, and led by the nose. Douluo was delighted when she heard Wu Crossing say that he could cure the poison in her grandfather, but the accusatory words that followed made her lower her head in embarrassment, like a little girl who knew she had done something wrong, and willingly accepted the criticism from the other party. She was indeed panicked after hearing that her grandfather was poisoned, and was tricked by Tang San, a disgusting guy. Now that she thinks about it, it really shouldn't have happened. I know I was wrong. Douluo replied pitifully. Such a scene made Douluo dumbfounded. His good granddaughter was kidnapped. If it were so, it would be fine, but the problem seemed that this kid had his precious granddaughter in his hands. Wouldn't he let the other party bully her in the future? Thinking of this, Douluo felt that it didn't matter if he was poisoned. He had to have a good talk with his granddaughter. Tang San, who was in the corner, sneered when he heard Wu Crossing say that he could cure Douluo's poison so casually. How ridiculous. His poison has penetrated deep into his bones. How can it be cured so easily? In his opinion, Wu Crossing was just talking nonsense. He could see how terrible the poison accumulated in Douluo was. Even if he had the Tang sect secret book, he couldn't say that he could cure it 100%. But this guy said it so casually. It was a joke. He was worried that the other party might really have a way to cure the poison, but now he was relieved. Really? Wu Crossing looked at the mocking Tangsun and chuckled. He liked slapping people in the face the most, especially when they were offered to him. Pretending to search the soul guide for a while, Wu Crossing's hand flashed with light and a crystal clear bottle appeared. He then handed it to Douluo Yan. Little Yanzi, there are a few detoxification pills in it. Give them to your grandfather. One is enough. Oh, by the way, you take one too. Wu Crossing subconsciously wanted to call Douluo Yan little girl. Fortunately, he changed his words in time after he found out. Otherwise, the old guy Douluo would have been angry with him and crippled him. As for the detoxification pill, it was a reward from the diary system after Wu Crossing left the yin-yang eyes of ice and fire. When he received this reward, he was almost angry to death. He had to get out of the poison formation before he was given the detoxification pill. Wasn't that deliberately playing with him? But he didn't expect it to work today, and it was used to slap Tangsun in the face. System, the host is wrong. You are still very wise and powerful. Should I take it too? Douluo Yan took the bottle and asked doubtfully. Yeah. Wu Crossing nodded. He would not give Tangsun any chance to jump. If he wasn't worried about Tang Heo, it might not be as simple as a slap in the face. He who has watched the anime naturally knows that Tang Heo has actually been secretly protecting Tang San. If he is really in danger of his life, he will definitely show up. Hearing this, Douluo Yan poured out 2 pills without thinking, threw one into her mouth, and handed the other to her grandfather. She trusted Wu Crossing very much, and didn't ask why she needed to take it. Douluo, who was watching all this, didn't know what to say. After a long time, he sighed and stuffed the pill into his mouth. The precious granddaughter has grown up, and there will be such a day sooner or later. I just hope that the boy in front of me can treat Yan Yan well. The pill melted in his mouth, and Douluo soon felt a huge energy, which began to penetrate into his internal organs, and finally to his bone marrow. Douluo, who noticed this change, was in turmoil. This is not an ordinary pill. I'm afraid it's not some treasure. I'll leave first. You wait here for a while. After a while, Douluo, who noticed the changes in his body, said calmly, and then walked quickly inside. Grandpa, what happened? Seeing Grandpa who left in a hurry, Douluo Yan looked at Wu Crossing with doubts. Ahem. Wu Crossing couldn't help coughing when he heard it, and then he smiled and said, maybe people have 3 urgent needs. Although he has never taken detoxification pills, there are too many toxins in Douluo's body, so he always needs to be eliminated, right? Douluo Yan was stunned for a moment, and then she thought of something, and a blush suddenly appeared on her pretty face. Then why don't I need it? Douluo Yan was very curious. Wu Crossing rolled his eyelids and said, how do I know? Maybe you are a beauty, maybe you will be treated specially. Douluo Yan's words reminded Wu Crossing of a joke in his previous life, that goddesses don't need to poop. Of course, this is definitely not the case. The reason why Douluo Yan didn't react so much was mainly because there were relatively few toxins in her body, and it was far from the point where she needed to be discharged. Not long after, a burst of footsteps came from the back of the living room, and Douluo's figure appeared in everyone's eyes. At this time, Douluo looked very energetic, and seemed to be a few years younger. Grandpa, are you okay? Douluo Yan asked happily, looking at the grandfather who seemed to be younger. Yeah. Douluo nodded cheerfully, and his eyes turned kind when he looked at Wu Crossing. Wu Crossing, thank you for your elixir. I feel comfortable all over now. He didn't know how many years he hadn't experienced such a comfortable feeling. His body seemed to have returned to its peak state. Wu Crossing smiled and said, Senior Douluo is too polite. Yanzi is my friend. This is what I should do. Hearing Wu Crossing's words, Douluo Yan didn't know why a sweet feeling rose in his heart. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. There is no such magical elixir in the world. At the same time, Tangsun looked incredulous. His purple magic pupil could see that Douluo didn't have any signs of poisoning at this time. The black mark between his eyebrows had disappeared long ago. He was shocked. He was not only surprised that Douluo's poison was cured, but he was also slapped in the face, and slapped hard. How is it impossible? Just because you, a piece of trash, can't do it doesn't mean Brother Wu Crossing can't do it. Without waiting for Wu Crossing to speak, Douluo Yan had already stood up first, and called Wu Crossing brother. Hearing this, Tang San looked gloomy, and stared at Wu Crossing, with a fierce light in his eyes. It was all this guy's fault. He could have threatened with the detoxification method, but it was ruined by the other party. At this moment, Tang San had already marked Wu Crossing as the first target, to be eliminated in his mind. TSK, is this the protagonist? Now it seems that he is more villain than the villain. Wu Crossing was amazed when he saw Tang San's ferocious appearance. He just detoxified Douluo and Douluo Yan and slapped you in the face. And you took the initiative to come up to him, but you were hated. It's really double standard and hypocrisy. It's really that only you can slap others in the face. You can pretend to be cool, but others can't. If you see this, please make a sound and I will add more for you. Chapter 36 Humiliating Tang San. Looking at Tang San's fierce look, Wu Crossing was full of disdain, and he already had an idea in his mind. For this extremely double standard, extremely hypocritical, and vindictive protagonist, just slapping him in the face is too easy for him. What he wants to do is to make him deserted by everyone, and then take away his favorite Xiao Wu, and let Xiao Wu personally give him a big pat. And with the diary system, if it is operated properly, this is not impossible. Although this is a bit evil, it is not too much for the sanctimonious protagonist. Thinking of this, Wu Crossing calmly turned on the recording function of the diary system and recorded all of Tang San's hypocritical faces. At this moment, Tang San didn't know that Wu Crossing had recorded his other side into the image. If he failed to threaten him, he had to consider how to get out. He hasn't become famous in the continent yet, he hasn't completed his ambitions, and he hasn't entered the palace of marriage with Xiao Wu. How can he be willing to die here? At this moment, several long howls sounded, all filled with strong hostility, and approaching here quickly, making Tang San's face show ecstasy. He could hear that it was the teacher and the dean who came to rescue him. Hearing these voices, Douluo narrowed his eyes slightly. When he captured Tang San, he did not suppress his own aura deliberately. Otherwise, with the strength of a titled Douluo, he would definitely be able to kidnap a mere soul master without anyone noticing. Soon after the long howls, several figures appeared in the mansion, and these figures were Flanders, Yu Xiao Gang, Xiao Wuji and Liu Erlang from Shrek Academy. Teacher. Seeing Yu Xiao Gang coming to rescue him, Tang San hurriedly shouted, Xiao-san. Yu Xiao Gang said in surprise, but when he saw the appearance of his beloved disciple, his face was filled with anger. Douluo, you quickly let Tang San go, otherwise our golden iron triangle will fight you to the death. Tang San is his precious child, and he will be a spirit master standing on the top of the continent in the future. Now he has not yet achieved fame and fortune for himself. If the plan fails, wouldn't his efforts over the years be in vain? How can he not be angry? Who do you think you are? How dare you yell in front of me? Douluo raised his hand slightly with disdain, and a majestic pressure swept towards Yu Xiao Gang. What is the golden iron triangle? To put it bluntly, it is a martial soul fusion skill used by a few spirit masters who are not up to the standard. Such a guy dares to threaten him? When Yu Xiao Gang saw it, his face suddenly changed. Fortunately, Flanders had blocked Douluo's pressure for him, so he escaped. Feeling the pressure, Yu Xiao Gang sweated coldly from his forehead. He was so busy considering the importance of Tang San that he forgot that the person in front of him was the real titled Douluo. Douluo, Tang San didn't offend you, did he? Why did you take him away? Yu Xiao Gang changed his threat to questioning. I always do what I want, why should I explain to others? Douluo said coldly. Yu Xiao Gang's face changed again when he heard it. He wanted to say something, but was stopped by Flanders. Senior Douluo, Tang San is the disciple of the juniors. If he offended you in any way, I will apologize to you on his behalf. Please be magnanimous, and don't argue with a kid. Flanders' attitude was very humble, which was completely different from Yu Xiao Gang's attitude, and people could not find fault with him. Douluo glanced at Yu Xiaogang with disdain and looked at Flanders indifferently. This was the attitude they should have. It's nothing. I just arrested him to ask about something. But this kid is very arrogant. He dared to speak rudely to my granddaughter. How should this be handled? Douluo looked at Flanders calmly and said, "This." Flanders hesitated when he heard this, and then slowly replied, "It's the juniors who didn't discipline her properly." After that, Flanders' face became serious, and he said to Tang-san, "Zio-san, why don't you apologize to senior Douluo's granddaughter?" What? Tang-san heard this, and his eyes widened. He wanted him to apologize to Douluo Yan. What a joke. If he really apologized to the other party, what dignity would he have? Seeing that Tang-san had no intention of apologizing, Flanders' face was also ugly. This kid didn't even look at the current situation. If you don't apologize, how can I take you away safely? Tang-san naturally knew this, but he was asked to apologize to a woman in front of so many people, and she was his former defeated opponent. He really couldn't swallow this breath. "Zio-san, what are you still standing there for?" Flanders was almost angry to death, and said sternly, Tang-san's face kept changing, and finally he gritted his teeth and said, "Douluo Yan, I was wrong just now. I apologize to you. I'm sorry. It's no use apologizing to me. Didn't you look down on brother Wu Crossing just now? Apologize to him. If he accepts, I will let you go." Facing Tang-san's apology, Douluo Yan said indifferently. Hearing this, Tang-san's whole face darkened. He had already apologized, but Douluo Yan still pushed it further. He couldn't help but said angrily, "Douluo Yan, don't go too far. Isn't what I said the truth? Am I wrong?" Douluo Yan replied coldly. This double standard King Tang-san didn't look down on brother Wu Crossing. "Then I will make you lose face." Tang-san fell silent. It's okay for him to be slapped in the face, but it's even more excessive to apologize to the person who slapped him in the face. This is more uncomfortable than killing him. But if he doesn't apologize, he may really not be able to leave here. "Wu Crossing, I'm sorry," Tang-san said with great frustration, but in his heart he was thinking about how to return this insult 100 times 1,000 times in the future. Looking at the extremely humiliated Tang-san, Wu Crossing smiled in his heart. This guy might have completely hated him, but he didn't care about this. There were more humiliations waiting for him in the future. It's great to improve after knowing your mistakes. I don't blame you. You have little knowledge. How can a frog in a well compare with a soaring eagle? Wu Crossing said murderously. Yes. Tang-san clenched his fists and answered heavily. Today's humiliation is the biggest stain in his history. He will never let this group of people go. Douluo laughed and said, "Haha, in this case, then you can take him back." He didn't intend to kill Tang-san in the first place. The reason why he captured him was just to understand how he broke his granddaughter's third soul skill and to vent his anger for his granddaughter. Now that Wu Crossing seems to know more about poison than Tang-san, the other party will be useless. "Thank you, Senior Douluo." Hearing this, Flanders bowed his hands in joy and thanked him. In order to avoid any more trouble, he immediately called Tang-san over and left in a hurry. Looking at Tang-san, who left like a lost dog, Wu Crossing's face curved up. "Tang-san, today is just the beginning, and the next is the real nightmare. Don't give up so quickly, otherwise it will be too boring." Chapter 37 Grandfather and Grandson Talk. After Shrek and his party left, Douluo immediately asked Wu Crossing to sit down again. In his eyes, Tang-san's matter was just a small episode. After the detoxification pill, his favorability towards Wu Crossing reached an unprecedented height. Although he was a civilian spirit master, he could take out so many treasures, which was not something that ordinary people could do. Seeing the change in his grandfather's attitude, Douluo Yan was very happy and spared no effort to flatter Wu Crossing at the dinner. Of course, in addition to Douluo Yan, Yi Lingling also expressed her admiration for Wu Crossing from time to time. As for Suruoxi, seeing everyone expressing their admiration for her man, even Douluo Sr., who was a titled Douluo, also praised him. Her heart was filled with honey and sweet. After all, Wu Crossing was her man. Wouldn't praising him prove her vision? After a dinner, it can be said that both the host and the guests enjoyed themselves, and it was late at night until it ended. "Yang Iron, Grandpa has something to ask you." After Du Guyan arranged for Wu Crossing to live in the guest room, Du Gubo had already found his granddaughter. There were some things he couldn't ask his granddaughter in front of everyone, but he didn't have to hide it in private. Looking at her grandfather, Du Guyan asked with some doubts, "Grandpa, what do you want to ask your granddaughter? What do you think of that kid Wu Crossing?" Du Gubo looked at his granddaughter carefully, with a serious face. Du Guyan was stunned when she heard this, then rolled her eyes and said, "Grandpa, what can I think of brother Wu Crossing? Really?" Du Gubo raised his eyebrows and asked again, "Aren't you attracted to that boy?" Du Guyan was stunned when she heard this, and then her face flushed, and she said coquettishly, "Grandpa, what nonsense are you talking about? I'm a good friend of brother Wu Crossing. Only like this?" Du Gubo looked at the shy granddaughter, obviously a little unconvinced. "Of course." Du Guyan nodded as a matter of course. Why did her grandfather ask this question for no reason? She did have a good impression of Wu Crossing, but the two of them had only known each other for less than 3 days, and the diary copy was only 8 or 9 days in total. How could she fall in love with him? Du Gubo saw it, and said with a bit of reluctance, "But grandpa, it seems that you care about him very much. You asked him to come home and praised him." "Grandpa, don't think about it." Granddaughter asked him to come home, because she wanted to build a good relationship with him. Du Guyan explained. After saying that, she was afraid that grandpa would think about it again, so she continued, "Grandpa, although brother Wu Crossing is a commoner, his identity is not simple. It is more complicated than you can imagine. The granddaughter can't tell you the details. In short, it is a titled Douluo or something, which is just his starting point." "What?" Du Gubo was dumbfounded after listening to the explanation of his precious granddaughter. He, the great bee phosphorus Douluo, had seen all kinds of storms, but his granddaughter said that the other part, his identity, was something he couldn't imagine, and that the title Douluo was just the starting point of that kid. After receiving all this information, Du Gubo looked at his granddaughter suspiciously and continued, Yan, you are not kidding me, are you? If you like him, you can tell me directly. There is no need to tell these lies, and I don't necessarily object to you being with him. However, the relationship between that girl named Suruaxi and that boy should not be simple. You insert it like this. Ouch. Stop. Hit the boss." Seeing that grandpa was getting more and more outrageous and disrespectful, Du Guyan, with a red face, could no longer bear it, grabbed Du Gubo's beard and pulled it. "Grandpa, you are too much." Du Gubo looked at his granddaughter, who finally let go of her hands and put her hands on her waist, and was angry and hurriedly rubbed his beard, which was not much. To be honest, after the dinner, he was still quite satisfied with Wu Crossing. It would be good if his granddaughter could be with him, but he found that the other party seemed to have a close relationship with the girl named Suruaxi. He was worried that his precious granddaughter would suffer, so he asked this question. However, he did not expect his granddaughter to react so strongly. If he had not pretended to be in pain, his beard would have been almost plucked out. "You deserve it. You are disrespectful to your elders." Du Guyan snorted and said, "Grandpa, what I said before was true. Your granddaughter is not kidding you. Do you know what level of innate soul power Wu Crossing is?" "What level of innate soul power?" Du Gubo asked subconsciously, while rubbing his chin. "Level 30. Du Guyan said seriously. "How is it possible?" Du Gubo jumped up immediately after hearing this and said, "Isn't the highest level of innate soul power 10? How is it impossible? Brother Wu Crossing's 3 rings are all 10,000 year soul rings. Have you seen them before?" Du Guyan said with a raised eyebrow. Du Gubo fell silent when he heard this. Indeed, he had never heard of anyone being able to cross years to absorb 10,000 year soul rings. So it was not difficult to understand that the innate soul power was 30 levels. Then why is he only level 31 now? Du Gubo seemed to feel something was wrong and did not have time to ask. Du Guyan knew that her grandfather would ask this question and raised her head proudly and said, "That's because brother Wu Crossing just awakened his martial spirit a few days ago." "How do you know this?" Du Gubo was shocked and then asked curiously. "You don't have to ask, I just know it anyway." Du Guyan answered vaguely. She couldn't say anything about the diary copy, but she didn't intend to make up a reason to perfunctory her grandfather. Looking at his good granddaughter who answered so affirmatively, Douluo immediately believed it a little. He knew his precious granddaughter and she would never say nonsense to him. No wonder Yan Yan was so enthusiastic and even kept praising that kid in front of him. It turned out that this kid was a super little monster. Innate soul power level 30. What a terrifying data. So if you count it this way, the title Douluo is really just the starting point for that kid. Thinking of the other party's future achievements, Douluo couldn't sit still and said with a smile, Yan Yan, you really don't have that idea. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and Grandpa agrees. Knowing that Wu Crossing's talent was so terrible, only a fool would disagree with the two of them. Even if there was no opportunity, he would create one, not to mention that the opportunity was right in front of him. I will never talk to you again, Grandpa. Douluo Yan didn't expect that after explaining so much, Grandpa was still so frivolous, and he was so angry that he stamped his feet. Grandpa is serious. Douluo rubbed his hands, looking longing. Douluo Yan saw the expression of her grandfather who wanted her to marry Wu Crossing, and her face was red and blood was dripping. Finally, she said in shame and anger, I won't tell you anymore. After that, Douluo Yan left here quickly, ran back to her room, and closed the door heavily. Leaning against her own door, Douluo Yan's heart beat like a deer, and her face was even hot, but she was thinking about that sentence in her heart. Grandpa agreed. She couldn't say how she felt about Wu Crossing, but she definitely had a good impression of him. However, she couldn't tell whether this good impression could be considered love. If she were to marry him, it would not be bad either. It should be good, right? Just as Douluo Yan was daydreaming and thinking that she was not disgusted by being his woman, she suddenly heard a reminder of the diary copy update. She immediately woke up, shook off the embarrassing thoughts in her mind, and threw herself on her bed to read it. In an instant, under the golden light of the diary copy, the blush on her face was still visible. Chapter 38, Destroying 3 Views. A guest room. Wu Crossing was lying alone on the bed. Since he didn't know how far Wu Crossing and Suruoxi had developed, Douluo Yan didn't arrange for them to live in the same room. He looked at the time, and it was already past 12 o'clock. Wu Crossing, who was not very sleepy, simply opened the diary system and started to update today's content. Good evening, ladies. I updated it early today. Didn't bother you. Speaking of which, I was invited by my pen pal, and am now living in her house. Of course, don't get me wrong, there is nothing between us. It's just a simple communication. As Wu Crossing's diary was updated, the girls saw this, especially the diary holders of the Douluo world, and they were all shocked. Although they knew that someone had found the owner of the diary yesterday, wasn't this progress too fast? They moved into each other's house after only knowing each other for 1 day. Since I knew yesterday that the diary copy holder came from Zhutian Diary, I thought about it for a long time, so I made a decision. That is, I will no longer hide my whereabouts. The main reason is that I don't think it's necessary. After all, there are so many big guys in the diary. Even if I want to hide it, I'm afraid I can't hide it for too long. And I'm also worried that one day the system will teleport me to another world to do tasks, and I may need your help. But there is one thing I want to say. Although I don't intend to hide my whereabouts, I don't want to be disturbed either, so please be rational. If it is not necessary, don't come here specially, otherwise I can only use the teleportation card to run away. I hope you can understand. Of course, if there is really something that needs to be asked or helped, I will spare no effort. After Wu Crossing said that he did not intend to conceal his whereabouts, many beauties in Douluo Continent became excited, but when they saw Wu Crossing say that he did not want to be disturbed, the excitement disappeared. They could understand Wu Crossing's worries. There are so many diary copy holders. If they all go to find him, how can he live a normal life? Considering that many of the diary holders are beauties from Zhutian Diary, before telling you my whereabouts, I will first give you a simple popular science about the world I'm in now, so that everyone can read more easily. The world I live in is called Douluo Continent. I believe you all know that everyone here can awaken their martial spirits when they are 6 years old. As for what martial spirits are, you should have learned about them through the notes in the diary copy before, right? I won't say much. On this continent, there are 2 empires and various kingdoms and principalities. The empire is the largest, the kingdom is the second, and the principality is the last. In addition, there is also a transcendent force, that is no less than the empire, the Wuhun Hall, and the sea god island far beyond the sea, etc. Now I am in the capital of the Xiandao Empire in the 2 empires Xiandao City. Xiandao City. The owner of the diary is actually in Xiandao City. When Wood Crossing said that he was in Xiandao City, many beauties' eyes lit up, especially the beauties who were in Xiandao City at this time. This is good news for them. Although the owner of the diary said not to go to him specifically, if there is nothing, they felt relieved after knowing the location. After all, who can guarantee that they will not encounter difficult emergencies? I'm here because I joined the Xiandao Royal Academy by chance, and am now a student there. Since we are talking about the Xiandao Royal Academy, you must be familiar with Tangsen, whom I mentioned before. He is the son of destiny in this world, and I just happened to meet him and Shrek's group today. As the plot develops, they were deliberately provoked by Zubeng, which led to their failure to join the academy in the end. Originally, I thought that if I didn't get involved, today's events would be over, but I didn't expect that I would be invited to her house by my pen pal in the evening and meet this guy Tangsen again. However, he was captured by the pen pal's grandfather, so what happened next was not pleasant. To be honest, I really don't know how a person like Tangsen could become the protagonist and how he was protected by destiny. His behavior simply subverted my perception of the protagonist. He was self-righteous, slandering others, and was very hypocritical. The story is like this. The reason why the pen pal's grandfather captured him was to find out why he was able to break his granddaughter's 3rd soul skill, and to vent his anger for his granddaughter for 3 months. Our pen pal didn't know about these things, and it wasn't her who asked her grandfather to catch the other party, but Tangsen woke up and attacked the pen pal immediately, saying that she had a vicious mind, and asked her grandfather to come out if she couldn't beat him. With this statement, the pen pal naturally didn't want to take the blame, and then he started to fight back. All of this seemed normal, but the next thing was outrageous, and it was out of the ordinary. The pen pal's grandfather was found out because he was deeply poisoned. Out of concern for his grandfather, our pen pal came to me to ask if there was a way to crack it. I got the detoxification pill rewarded by the system before, so I told the truth. I didn't expect that guy Tangsen to mock me. Can you believe it? I'm an outsider, a person who has nothing to do with him, and I haven't offended him. Just because I can detoxify the pen pal's grandfather, he actually jumped out to mock me. Is this the protagonist? Is this the pattern of being a child of destiny? Too narrow-minded. Do you really think that you can look down on others just because you have the Tang sect secret realm brought from your previous life and understand poison? To put it bluntly, and to say something that the beauties in the Douluo world may not want to hear, these Tang sect secrets, Tang sect hidden weapons, and Tang sect's poison detoxification techniques can be used to seal a title Douluo or even kill a god in the Douluo Continent, but they are just a joke in other worlds. Douluo Continent is called the sewer of the fantasy world, and this is mostly the reason. Not to mention the world where the 3 beautiful women talked about yesterday are located. Even the Snow Moon Sword Fairy. These are just martial arts worlds, and they are not presentable. The most ridiculous thing is that I just came forward to help my pen pal's grandfather detoxify him, and he hated me because I hit him in the face. He took the initiative to come up and hit me first, which is quite funny. I said before that this person is extremely double standard. Only he can hit others in the face, but others can't hit him in the face, otherwise he will kill you in a minute. I'm afraid that the person he wants to kill the most now is me. Based on my understanding of him, it is definitely true. Zio Wu, Ning Rangrong, ZHU Zuking. If you 3 beauties of Shrek don't believe it, we'll just wait and see if he will do it. As Wood Crossing's update became more and more, the eyes of the many beauties who were reading gradually widened. Are you sure this is the protagonist? This is the son of destiny? And not the villain? At this moment, their 3 views were destroyed by Tangsen. Chapter 39 Analysis of Tang San's Trump Card. Lanba Academy. Liu Erlang has now handed over the position of Dean to Flanders and is planning to change it to Shrek Academy in the next few days. In one of the rooms, although it was late at night, Xiao Wu and the other girls were still together, looking at the contents of Wu Crossing's updated diary. Tang San was captured by Douluo, and such a big thing happened, so they naturally did not go to bed so early. Originally, they thought that today's matter would end here, but they never expected that the diary would mention this matter. The origin today is the owner of the diary, right? Ning Rangrang looked at the lines of words that appeared on the book, her eyes flashing with a strange light. This guy finally stopped hiding himself. At noon, when she heard teacher Kinming's explanation, she was still very surprised. The other party was just a soul master. Why did he have 3 exaggerated 10,000-year soul rings? At this moment, all this can be explained, and only the owner of the diary can do it. Thinking of the scene that passed by both sides in a flash, Ning Rangrang's mind suddenly became active. She was already impressed by the handsome member of Xiandao Academy, and now with this identity, he is simply the most perfect partner candidate in her mind. Wu Crossing, I will definitely take you down. Ning Rangrang clenched her fists and decided to take the initiative. As for the rationality of the other party, she automatically ignored it. With such a beautiful woman like this lady throwing herself into her arms, she didn't believe that this pervert could not resist being tempted. Xiao Wu seemed to be lost for Ning Rangrang's excitement. She didn't expect that the owner of the diary would talk about Tang San again, and what was said was still so unbearable. Since Wu Crossing said that Tang San's double standard personality, she deliberately didn't think about it for the past few days, but before she could take a few days off, the hypocrisy of the other party was exposed again. He even hated the owner of the diary because he detoxified Douluo and wanted to kill him. Now she didn't know what to do. Should she continue to believe in Tang San or choose to trust the owner of the diary? Xiao Wu, don't think too much. If what the owner of the diary said is true, Tang San is a hypocritical person and will definitely show it. If it's false, it proves that the guy has bad intentions. Just as Xiao Wu was holding her hands tightly, Zhu Yuking hurriedly said to comfort her. Xiao Wu could understand how she felt now, but she was more inclined to agree with what Wu Crossing said, because she had experienced something similar before. She was deceived by her own elder sister. If she hadn't experienced it herself, she still couldn't believe that the elder sister who had once taken good care of her had such a vicious mind. When her true face was exposed, she wanted her life and chased her all the way to the border of the Heaven Empire. If it weren't for her good luck and the help of her third sister, she would have died on the road. That's why her innocent character turned cold, which was the protective color she gave herself. Yes, Sister Yuking is right. If Tang San is really that kind of person, it's better for Xiao Wu to recognize him earlier. Ning Rangrang also reacted after hearing Zhu Yuking's comfort and spoke quickly, but her words were much more direct. Under the interference of Wu Crossing's diary, she had already determined that Tang San was a hypocritical and double-standard guy. Looking at the comfort of Zhu Yuking and Rangrang, Xiao Wu felt a little warm in her heart and nodded heavily. On the other side, in the cabin in the woods, Liu Erlang looked at the updated content of the diary copy, and her brows were tightly furrowed. At this time, she had lost her original feelings for Yu Xiaogang under the subtle influence of Wu Crossing in the past few days. In addition, Yu Xiaogang's actions were pointed out later, and she went from unfamiliar to disgust. Yu Xiaogang was an honorary elder of the Spirit Hall, and he had her entanglement with that woman. She knew it better than anyone else. Moreover, she learned from Flanders in the afternoon that Tang San's father was from the Haotian sect, and she felt even more disgusted. He deceived women for fame and fortune, and betrayed the Spirit Hall that cultivated him for fame and fortune. Now he accepted the same disciples. He was double-standard and hypocritical. It turned out that there was a kind of teacher and a kind of disciple. If it weren't for Flanders' face, she wanted to drive Yu Xiaogang out directly. It was also for Flanders' sake that she went to Douluo's mansion at night. Now it was not worth it. It would have been better to let him die there. However, she still liked Xiao Wu and the other girls very much, and she would never let these two hypocritical masters and apprentices deceive her. Thinking of this, Liu Erlang simply stood up and walked towards the female dormitory building of the college. She couldn't let such a good seedling be ruined. These are what I experienced today. Thank you for listening. Now let's talk about what the Tang Sect secrets are, what the Tang Sect hidden weapons are, and why they can become Tang San's greatest reliance. Those of you who don't know should be eager to know, right? But before talking about the Tang Sect secrets and Tang Sect hidden weapons, we must first understand its origin. These Tang Sect secrets and Tang Sect hidden weapons are not original to Douluo Continent, but things from Tang San's original world. The world he originally lived in was a martial arts world similar to the Jingwei beauty in Qin's Moon and the Hanai beauty in Youth Song. The Tang Sect secrets and Tang Sect hidden weapons came from a sect called Tang Sect in such a world. You can think of the secret book as your own practice method, and the hidden weapon is an external thing used to strengthen the means of attack, just like the soul bone in my current Douluo world. After saying this, you should be very clear, right? But such a thing can shine in Douluo Continent. First, it allows Tang San to borrow the Tang Sect secret book, to be invincible in the soul fight, and then use the Tang Sect hidden weapon, to kill a soul master who is much higher than himself. In the end, I even used these hidden weapons to hurt the beautiful Zuxu after I became a god. Tang Sect hidden weapons can actually hurt me after I became a god. In the Xiandao Palace, Qian Ringsu was shocked when she saw this, and her eyes were even more condensed. If Wu Crossing hadn't said that these were not things that could be put on the table, she would have thought that the Tang Sect hidden weapons were some kind of extraordinary treasure. No wonder the other party said that Douluo Continent is the sewer of the fantasy world. It is indeed ironic. In the same fantasy world, look at the supreme giant Liu Shen in the perfect world, and then look at the ruthless emperor in the world of covering the sky, and she will feel a burning feeling on her face. Not only Qian Ringsu, many beauties in Douluo Continent were upset when they saw this. As for the beauties in other worlds, especially those in the martial arts world, they were all a little confused at this moment, silly with their sexy red lips open. Tang Sect's hidden weapons can hurt gods? This is the biggest joke they have ever heard. Even after professional training, they can't help it. It's really ridiculous, isn't it? Chapter 40 Resurrection Skills. But beauties of Douluo Continent, you don't have to worry too much. Tang San's secret books and hidden weapons are just a pile of garbage compared to the diary copy, so you don't have to care too much about these things. Maybe the diary copy will reward you with something better someday. There is a popular saying in my original world, everything produced by the system is exquisite, and everything is rewarded by the system. Haha, let's get back to the point. After talking about the secret books and hidden weapons that Tang San relies on, let's talk about what he relies on in this world. Since this guy can become the protagonist of Douluo Continent and the Son of Destiny, his luck is of course quite good. As for why I say this, we have to start with his origin. You already know that in his previous life, he stole the secret book of the Tang Sect and was expelled from the sect. He fell off a cliff and traveled through time, thus replacing the fetus of an aboriginal couple and inheriting the martial arts of that couple. Speaking of time travel, God is also unfair. In my original world, I was a good citizen who never cheated or deceived anyone. I often helped grandpa and grandma cross the road, but they just threw me into the sunset forest to fend for myself. On the other hand, Tang San, the double standard king, was a thief before he traveled through time and committed treasonous things. But he was able to directly steal and replace the couple's legacy. You can judge for yourself. Is it fair or not to treat them differently? Bah, this guy is so shameless. You have a diary system. What else do you want? Faced with Wu Crossing's cry of injustice, a group of beauties rolled their eyes. They thought this guy had changed his character, but he still couldn't change his eating habits. Can Tang San's opportunity be compared with your diary system? Of course, you beauties don't need to seek justice for me. After all, I have a group of beautiful pen pals like you. It can be said that God has treated me well. I will take a little loss. I'm not going to redress your grievances. Seeing the tone of grievance in Wu Crossing's diary, many beauties were so angry that their teeth itched. Why did they feel so angry? Ahem, I've gone off topic. Let's get back to the point. The father of the fetus that Tang San replaced is named Tang Heo. He comes from the Haoshan sect, which is known as the strongest weapon spirit in the Douluo world. And the mother, named Yin, is a soul beast that has been transformed into a human after 100,000 years of cultivation. Her original body is a blue-silver emperor. Speaking of this couple, I have to complain again. Douluo Continent is called the Love Continent, which is absolutely correct. Many people are in love. Yin is one of them, and she is also the most miserable. She was deceived and used by Tang Heo, and finally sacrificed herself. Pure Land World Yin. At this moment, Yin felt dizzy. If she hadn't died, she might have done it again. Not only was the fetus in her belly replaced, but now she was told that her lover had been deceiving and using her. Alas, they are all poor people. No, poor beasts. With this relationship, Tang San's bloodline is naturally not low, and he perfectly inherited the martial spirits of both parties, one clear sky hammer, and one blue-silver emperor, becoming the third soul master with twin martial spirits in the history of Douluo Continent. This is also why Yu Xiao Gang betrayed Yu Dongjia without any care after meeting Tang San, and helped the enemy, all for his own reputation. Yu Xiao Gang, you deserve to die. Seeing this, Bibi Dong slammed the table hard. As the Pope of the Spirit Hall and the owner of twin martial spirits, she certainly knows how powerful twin martial spirits are. It's no wonder that her plan failed in the end, after cultivating such a powerful enemy to deal with her. In addition to the twin martial spirits, God has also been feeding him. Others may not get soul bones after killing hundreds or thousands of soul beasts, but he can get external soul bones that are more precious than soul bones by killing a soul beast casually. And the fairy grass that even the title Douluo didn't know about, he just knew it and finally made wedding clothes for him. For example, the 100,000 year spirit ring that is particularly precious in this world. The beautiful Pope Dongjia, who is more powerful than the empire, went through a lot of hardships to get one, but people are so good that 100,000 year spirit beasts are rushing to sacrifice to him. It's also about becoming a god. How many strong people in this world have fought for their whole lives? The gods in the upper realm just gave it away for free, and gave it away twice. Now you know how terrible the Son of Luck is, right? Many beauties, seeing Wu Crossing's update here, all opened their mouths and looked dull. Is this the protagonist? Is this the Son of Luck? It's so terrifying. Of course, what they find most difficult to accept is that this guy named Tang San is double standard, hypocritical, and vindictive. How can such a person be blessed? Is God blind? If such a person can become the protagonist and the Son of Luck, what's wrong with this heaven? Okay, ladies, let's talk about this for now. The number of words in the update has seriously exceeded the system requirement. But this is what I have been holding back since I came here. I really can't help but say it, so I wrote a little more. Beautiful ladies, see you tomorrow. I'm going to get my reward. As he finished writing the last word, Wu Crossing exited the panel, feeling a lot more relaxed. This was something he had wanted to complain about for a long time, and there were so many beautiful ladies listening, so he was in a good mood. Tang San, now I have exposed your bottom line. Let's see how you can pretend in the future. Thinking with smiling eyes, Wu Crossing communicated with the system in his mind to receive the reward, and began to look forward to it. The diary system has given him very practical rewards for 2 consecutive days. I don't know if there will be an exception today. Whether the diary level is upgraded, the reward will also be better, and we will see soon. Ding, it is detected that the host has updated a diary, and a resurrection skill card is rewarded. Hearing the system's prompt, Wu Crossing immediately widened his eyes. Did he hear it right? Resurrection skill card? In order to verify whether he was hallucinating, in order to verify whether he heard it wrong, Wu Crossing quickly took out this card from the diary warehouse. Resurrection skill card. You can be resurrected after death. Passive, or you can designate others to be resurrected. Active, with a cooldown of 1 year. Ding, it is detected that the host has obtained a skill card. Does the host want to learn this skill? Learn. Must learn. Learn immediately. Learn now. Wu Crossing shouted to the system without thinking. If you don't learn, you are a fool. With this skill, The reader dad will no longer have to worry about my safety. When it was confirmed, a ray of light flashed, and the card dissipated immediately, and then it was printed on Wu Crossing's brow. In an instant, he learned how to use this skill. Wu Crossing, who got the resurrection skill, was so excited. He never thought that the system would be so generous and directly give him a skill card, or a resurrection skill card. Even if the cooldown time is a bit long, it is enough. System, open the diary. I don't know how long it took. Wu Crossing, who came back to his senses, said with great enthusiasm. Chapter 41. Are you a devil? Beautiful ladies, something big has happened. I actually won a great prize. Let's not talk too much, let's get straight to the picture. After Wu Crossing opened the diary, he wrote a few words, and didn't say any more nonsense. He directly uploaded the resurrection skill that he had just screenshotted to the diary. At the same time, the beauties who were originally planning to go to bed, when they heard the reminder that the diary was updated again, all cursed Wu Crossing in their hearts. What the hell was this guy doing? He disturbed them so late. Didn't he know that staying up late was the natural enemy of women? Although they cursed in their hearts, their bodies were very honest and opened the diary copy. It must have happened that the diary owner could update the diary again. Could it be that he got some super award again? Wu Crossing's words confirmed their guess. When they looked at the skill card uploaded by the other party, their beautiful eyes widened. Resurrection skill. It turned out to be a skill that could revive the dead. At this moment, all the beauties were shocked. Whether it was Douluo Continent or other worlds, they were stunned by the reward posted by the diary owner. Blue Tyrant Academy. I'm going to find him. Xiao Wu, who was originally very worried about Tang San, made a decision immediately after seeing the resurrection skill uploaded by Wu Crossing. As long as she finds Wu Crossing and asks him to help, her mother can be resurrected. Spirit Hall. Bibi Dang, who was lying on the bed and preparing to go to bed, saw the resurrection skill uploaded by Wu Crossing, and her whole body suddenly stood up, revealing a touch of whiteness, and her eyes became unprecedentedly hot. Resurrection technique. What a resurrection technique, which can bring back the dead, and it is not a one-time skill. It is really a great prize. Douluo Mansion. Douluo Yan saw this reward, stood up directly, turned around and left her room, and walked towards Wu Crossing. Resurrection technique, an unheard of skill, but she knew what this skill meant. It meant that with it, she didn't have to worry about death, and it meant that with it, she could even resurrect her important relatives. She understood that, if Wu Crossing mastered this skill, there would be more diary holders who could not restrain their restlessness, and would throw themselves into his arms. If for no other reason, just to save their lives, countless people would flock to him. After all, no one is not afraid of death, even goddesses are no exception. Although Wu Crossing usually behaves very timidly in his diary, the beauties would laugh and cry because of this, but if there is a crisis, they would still be afraid. So if she doesn't act early, she may not know where she will be ranked later, not to mention that she has a good impression of Wu Crossing. For a while, I don't know how many beauties were excited by the resurrection technique uploaded by Wu Crossing, and the beauties who were not in Douluo Continent wanted the diary system to let him go to their world to do tasks. This night, countless beauties were destined to fall into insomnia because of the word resurrection. At first, I couldn't believe that the system would give me such a heaven-defying skill, but the facts were in front of me, and I had to believe it. I can only say that the system is awesome. But I really want to know what the system's rewards are related to. Since the diary was upgraded, the rewards have been good, and today I got a magical skill directly. Is the system's reward related to the level and the number of words? I can try it tomorrow. Of course, it may also be related to the exposed content. If it is related to the exposed content, combined with the resurrection skills awarded to me by the system, I suspect that the diary holder is not only a living being, but also a dead person may have a copy of the diary. What? Wu Crossing's words shocked all the beauties in the comics. Can the dead get a copy of the diary? After all, the diaries are distributed to other worlds, so it is not impossible for the dead. Am I right, beautiful Ayin? Beautiful Rao Ro? Beautiful Ayin? Beautiful Rao Ro? Seeing this, countless questions flashed through the minds of the girls. They knew that beautiful alien was the mother of the body of Tang San, but who was beautiful Rao Ro? It seems that I have never heard of this name before. Just as they were thinking hard, Wood Crossing had already explained whether the diary mentioned the other party. Oh, I forgot to tell you that beautiful Rao Rao is also a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Her body is a soft bone rabbit, and she is also Xiao Wu's mother. It's a pity that she was killed by the beautiful Donja, and her soul ring was also taken away. It's so pitiful. This bastard. Bibi Dan gritted her teeth in anger, and the 2 white spots on her chest kept rising and falling. She now suspected that the owner of the diary was her anti-fan. Except for the good words in the first diary, the following diaries were not good, as long as they mentioned her. She had reason to reposition the owner of the diary towards her. I told you about the things between humans and soul beasts before, so it can't be said who is right or wrong. They are all for survival. This is the inevitable result of the law of nature, just like you kill some lives to maintain yourself for food. But there is one thing I'm very curious about. If my resurrection technique resurrects a 100,000-year soul beast, will it still have a 100,000-year soul ring after killing it? If so, can it be repeated? If it can, does it mean that I can get a 100,000-year soul ring every year? Are you a devil? Are Yin, Arao and other beautiful soul beasts who were reading the diary at this time shuddered when I thought about being killed and resurrected, and then dying again after being resurrected, and being used as a tool to obtain a 100,000-year soul ring. I felt horrified. It would be better to die directly. Haha, I'm just kidding you. How could I be so cruel? Besides, with the diary system, a 100,000-year soul ring is nothing. Many beautiful soul beasts breathed a sigh of relief when they heard this. They were really afraid that the owner of the diary would be crazy. Although he would not really die, it would be too torturous for people. No, too torturous for soul beasts. This is what it means to be worse than death, right? It's just that this skill is a little bit against the sky, but the cooling time is a bit long. Here, this guy is here again. Looking at Wood Crossing's regretful tone, the women's foreheads all had big pound signs. This guy's not satisfied with such an exaggerated skill as the resurrection technique. What's wrong with a year? Not to mention a year, even 10 years or 100 years are magical skills. If you are not satisfied, wait for the diary system to trade it to us at level 3. Why did you use it? Wood Crossing's Versailles made all the beauties gnashing their teeth, but they could do nothing about it. If the cooldown period is a month or a day, forget it. I won't say anything, lest you say I'm greedy. The ladies, isn't it? Well, in general, I'm still quite satisfied. It's time to leave after sharing the rewards. If we continue chatting, I'm afraid no one will have time to rest. Good night, beauties, and have a sweet dream. If you still know how to update, we will have to stay up late with you. The ladies licked Wood Crossing again when they saw him. Have a sweet dream. Thank God for being able to sleep. Since getting the diary copy, they feel that they have not had a good rest. They want to control themselves from reading it, but they can't. This diary seems like an addictive poison that makes them unable to stop. I went out today and typed it on my phone, so it's a little late. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42. Wood Crossing is fully responsible. Sister Yan Iron, Sister Ling Ling, what happened to you? The next morning, when Su Ruoxi woke up and saw Du Gu Yan and Li Ling Ling, she was shocked and couldn't believe her eyes. The two were fine last night, but today they had dark circles under their eyes and looked listless, which really surprised her. Looking at the energetic Su Ruoxi, Du Gu Yan and Li Ling Ling looked at each other and sighed in their hearts. It turned out that not having a copy of the diary also has its advantages. At least they don't have to suffer inhuman torture. Seeing the strange expressions of the two women, Su Ruoxi became more curious and asked again, Sister Yan Iron, Sister Ling Ling, you should ask your man. Du Gu Yan said with a face full of resentment. In fact, as soul masters, they are fine if they don't rest for 2 or 3 days. their spirits will not decline too much, and they will not have dark circles under their eyes and look haggard. The reason why they are like this is all thanks to wood crossing. I had updated my diary last night, but this guy insisted on uploading the reward picture. That was a resurrection skill. How many people could withstand such a test? Naturally, both of them had insomnia. After forcing themselves to fall asleep, they still felt uneasy. All they dreamed about were the scenes of themselves getting this skill. Hearing Du Guyan's words, Su Ruoxi opened her mouth wide in shock. Her man was too powerful. He took down Sister Yan'an and Sister Lingling in one night. No wonder they were so haggard. She had experienced Wu Crossing's fierceness, so of course she knew how terrifying her man was. You know, she fell asleep until the afternoon that day, and only barely recovered, and that was because Wu Crossing was considerate of her. Thinking of this, Su Ruoxi happily took Du Guyan and Li Lingling's hands and said happily, Sister Yan'an, Sister Lingling, we will be good sisters from now on. Seeing Su Ruoxi's sudden action, Du Guyan and Li Lingling didn't have time to be stunned, and then they reacted. The other party seemed to have misunderstood, and their faces turned red. Sister Ruoxi, you may have misunderstood. Sister Yan'an didn't mean that. Misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? Li Lingling's words made Su Ruoxi's hands stiffen. We didn't do anything with Wu Crossing last night. Li Lingling explained with a blushing face. Now she wanted to find a hole to crawl into. Being misunderstood is fine, but Su Ruoxi said it, and she always felt that there was a rhythm of social death. Du Guyan on the side was the same. She did decide to go to Wu Crossing yesterday, but when she arrived in front of his room, she backed out and finally ran back in embarrassment. Although she usually behaves straightforwardly, some things have nothing to do with her personality. She immediately becomes timid after getting excited. She is not as good as Su Ruoxi. After listening to the explanation, Su Ruoxi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It felt like she had made a big mistake. But it was okay, at least she had made her attitude clear. With her words, the two women should not have too many concerns in the future. This was indeed the case. Although Yi Lingling was still blushing, she was thinking carefully in her heart. Since it was not what she thought, Su Ruoxi was puzzled again. What happened? You should wait for Wu Crossing to come and ask him. Du Guyan sighed. She was tired when she thought about the reward now. What do you mean by asking me? What are you talking about? Speak of the devil. Du Guyan had just finished answering when Wu Crossing's voice came. When he came in front of the three women and saw the complexion of Du Guyan and Li Lingling, he was also shocked. Fuck, what bad things did you two do last night? Hearing this, Du Guyan and Li Lingling rolled their eyes and said unhappily, you are still pretending. Pretend as hard as you can. I pretended? What did I pretend? Wu Crossing asked subconsciously, and the next second he suddenly thought of something, and the corner of his mouth curled up. You can't sleep because of my reward? You still say it. Believe it or not, I will bite you. Du Guyan opened his little mouth, revealing his snow white fangs, and put on a posture like a snake attacking its prey. Wu Crossing, I suspect you did it on purpose yesterday, deliberately making us unable to sleep. Yi Lingling also rarely scolded. Looking at the two women of the same front, Wu Crossing quickly laughed. How is it possible? I'm just a little excited to share with everyone. Who would have thought that you are so timid? You have never seen big winds and waves. This won't do. Wu Crossing's shameless answer made the two women angry. Look, is this human language? They gave you the benefits and pretended to be versatiles, but in the end, they were narrow-minded and had never seen the world. Seeing this, Su Ruoxi finally understood something. The reason why the two women looked haggard was because their men seemed to have received some extraordinary reward, which made them sleepless. Wu Crossing, what reward did you get? Su Ruoxi asked curiously. What kind of reward could make Sister Yan'an and Sister Lingling, and even a group of diary holders, unable to control themselves? Hearing Su Ruoxi's words, Wu Crossing did not hide it, and directly told her the reward. He said that he would tell the other party the content of each diary he wrote, so he would naturally not hide anything. Su Ruoxi covered her mouth in surprise when she heard it. Her man actually had the resurrection technique. No wonder Du Guyan and Li Lingling were both out of control. Even she was not much better. It seems that not having a copy of the diary is not necessarily a bad thing. Suruoxi smiled. At least she was not devastated by this. Of course, Wukrosing was happy from the bottom of her heart that he had such a great skill, and she praised her decisiveness at the time. Otherwise, where would she find such an excellent boyfriend if she missed it? After talking about the diary reward, Dugu Yanfang asked, Wukrosing, what are your plans for today? I plan to visit Xiandao City again and return to the academy in the afternoon. Wukrosing thought for a while and said, Xiandao City is very big. Although I visited it for a long time yesterday, there are still many places I didn't go to. Even if I add today, I may not be able to visit all of them. And considering that tomorrow is the time for the team to gather, even if I can't visit all of them, I can only do it this way for now, and come back another day, when I have time. Okay. Dugu Yan and Li Lingling had no objection to Wukrosing's proposal. As for Suruoxi, let alone, everything for her now is centered on her man. Seeing this, Wukrosing said again, then say hello to your grandfather first. Dugu Yan nodded, and then took a few people to meet Dugu Bo. Dugu Bo was also startled when he saw his precious granddaughter, but soon he quietly gave his granddaughter a thumbs up. The granddaughter who was shy in front of him last night took action in just one night. She is worthy of being a member of their Dugu family. Dugu Yan wanted to cry, but had no tears when she saw her grandfather's little action, but she didn't explain in the end. It was a misunderstanding. Anyway, after meeting such an outstanding person like Wukrosing, I'm afraid that I will never look down on other men in the future. I will rely on him. Well, this guy is fully responsible. When several people left the mansion and were discussing whether to go to the auction house first or the fighting spirit arena first, several beautiful figures appeared at the other end of the street. Chapter 43, Setting up the Three Beauties. It's them. Duguan raised her eyebrows when she saw these figures. They were the three Shrek beauties whom she had met yesterday. She didn't find it strange that they came to her early in the morning. Wukrosing had already told her whereabouts in the diary copy yesterday. In addition to the resurrection skill reward later, even if the other party said not to look for him unless necessary, I'm afraid few people can hold back. Wukrosing looked at the three Shrek beauties walking towards him, and his mouth curled up slightly. He said so much last night, and he also mentioned Era in particular, and he also had his own plan. Since he planned to make tanks and deserted by his friends and let Xiao Wu put a big hat on him, how could Wukrosing remain indifferent? After all, it is far from enough to achieve this by just updating the diary by himself. Only by completely letting the other party fall in can it be guaranteed to be foolproof. Sure enough, it seems that they have taken the bait now. Brother Wu, Xiao Wu and the other two girls greeted him respectfully. So it's you guys. Wukrosing nodded in surprise, then pretended to be suspicious and asked, what do you want to talk to me about? Although it was his plan to let the three Shrek beauties come to him, he couldn't show it on the surface. Xiao Wu looked at Wukrosing, then looked at the girls around him, with a look of hesitation on her face. But when she thought of her mother, she still mustered up the courage. Brother Wu, are you free now? Xiao Wu has something to ask you for help. Can we just talk alone? Hearing Xiao Wu's words, Wukrosing had already guessed what she wanted to say, and smiled and said, Ruoxi is my girlfriend. Yanzi and Lingling are also my good friends. If you need my help, just tell me directly, it's okay. He naturally wouldn't talk to the other party alone. He still needed the girls to be present. Wukrosing's words made Suruoxi beside him full of joy. Her beautiful eyes curved, and also made Dugu Yan and Li Lingling very happy. The other party's words already represented that the relationship between them was not ordinary, and Suruoxi, needless to say, knew who the three girls in front of her were through the contents of her man's diary. Now, in front of them, she said that she was his girlfriend. Is there anything more worthy of her happiness than this? Xiao Wu was slightly startled when she heard this. She didn't expect Wukrosing to say this, but the other party had already said so, and she couldn't force it. After all, she needed the other party's help. After thinking for a moment, Xiao Wu gritted her teeth, clenched her hands and said, Brother Wu, please revive my mother. As soon as she finished speaking, she was about to kneel. Wukrosing was quick-witted and held up Xiao Wu who was about to kneel. Sister Xiao Wu, I said in my diary that if you have anything you need my help with, I will spare no effort, but this gift is too heavy. Xiao Wu, thank you, Brother Wu. Xiao Wu said gratefully. Wu Crossing was speechless. After helping the other party up, he said with some embarrassment, Sister Xiao, it's not that I don't want to help you, but how should I put it, the cooldown time of my skill is a bit long. I can understand your longing for your mother, but there are so many holders of the diary copy, and there are many of them who have the same experience as you. I really shouldn't agree to anyone first, do you understand? After saying that, Wu Crossing also looked at Du Guyan and Li Lingling who also had diary copies, and his meaning was very clear. What a joke, if he agreed to the other party so readily, how would he control the other party next? Xiao notes, Xiao is willing to work like a cow and a horse to repay your great kindness, Brother Wu. Although Xiao is a rabbit that has transformed for 100,000 years, she also understands what Wu Crossing said, but she really misses her mother too much. Now that she finally sees hope, how can she give up? When Wu Crossing heard this, he couldn't help but support his forehead, but in his heart he was thinking, isn't he handsome? Isn't it said that handsome people will marry you, while ordinary people will be forced to work like a cow or a horse, and ugly people will be reborn in the next life? Putting aside this thought, Wu Crossing smiled bitterly and said, Xiao Wu, that's not what I meant. As my pen pal, I will definitely help you if I can, but I'm sorry that I can't promise you this for the time being. He couldn't start this easily. If he did, the beauties in the diary copies might come to him one by one and ask him to revive this or that, and he would be annoyed to death. Besides, given their current relationship, it was not worth it for him to use the resurrection technique. After all, although he now has this technique to ensure his safety, if he dies in the middle of the process, he can only be resurrected passively after the cooldown period of this technique has reached. Just leaving it alone was not what Wu Crossing wanted to see, so he said, Xiao Wu, how about this? Wait a minute, when the diary rewards better skills, I will definitely promise you to revive Arao. Wu Crossing did not call Xiao Wu's mother an elder or something like that, but called her by her name, and his dirty heart was obvious to everyone. Among them, Du Guyan was the first to notice it. Before this guy knew grandpa, he called his grandpa Senior Debu. Now he calls Xiao Wu's mother Era intimately. It's terrifying to think about it. The bastard in front of him likes old women. It's confirmed. Really? Brother Wu. Xiao Wu's originally gloomy expression flashed a ray of light, and she looked at Wu Crossing closely. She also knew that this time she might not succeed, but it's better to take action than not to take action, even if she is disappointed in the end. Of course it's true. Wu Crossing smiled and nodded, then touched her head calmly and comforted her. Besides, the diary copy is not as simple as you think. Maybe as it upgrades, you may also get similar rewards. At that time, I may not be needed. Thank you Brother Wu for telling me, Xiao Wu said with emotion. As for Wu Crossing's intimate behavior of touching her head, she automatically ignored it. As a soul beast, she liked to be touched like this. It was only after she turned into a human and learned the civilization of the human world that she gradually realized that some intimacy was not allowed. But who is Wu Crossing? He is the owner of the diary. With this status, the other party will only feel that he is a big brother who truly cares for him. You're welcome. Helping each other is the purpose of the diary copy, Wu Crossing said with a smile. Yeah. Xiao Wu nodded happily, as if she thought of something. Brother Wu, add Xiao Wu as a friend. Okay. Wu Crossing agreed without thinking. Even if the other party doesn't say it, he will take the initiative to add the other party as a friend. This is an indispensable part before giving Tangsen a hat. Brother Wu, let's add a friend too. Ning Rangrong, who had been silent at this time, asked expectantly after seeing Xiao Wu and Wu Crossing add each other as friends. No problem. Wu Crossing replied with a smile, and then he added Ning Rangrong and Zhu Zuking as friends. For this, his first step has been completed. Looking at the 3 Shrek beauties in the friend column on the diary panel, Wu Crossing smiled in his heart. Are you ready? Double standard Tang San. Chapter 44 Ning Rangrong's initiative. By the way, Brother Wu, do you still have the immortal grass you mentioned last time? After adding the friend, Ning Rangrang was the first to ask. She couldn't get involved in Xiao Wu's matter just now, but now that she has the chance, she certainly won't end it easily. At least she can't leave before leaving an impression in the eyes of the other party. Yes, do you want it? Wu Crossing said with a smile. He got hundreds of immortal grasses, and it should be no problem to give one to each diary holder in Douluo Continent. It can be seen how selfish that double standard Tang San is. He called Du Gubo a brother, but in the end he didn't even give her immortal grass to his granddaughter. Yes. Ning Rangrang nodded without thinking. She was determined to get the immortal grass that could make the 7 treasures glazed tower evolve into the 9 treasures glazed tower. Of course, she didn't plan to get it for free. She opened her storage soul guide, searched for a while, and took out a card flashing with golden light. Brother Wu, here are 500,000 gold soul coins. I want to buy 3 from you. 3. Wu Crossing said in astonishment. Yes, Xiao Wu, ZHU King, and I each got 1 plant. Ning Rangrang explained hurriedly. Wu Crossing had written in his diary that only 1 plant could be sold per person, so she naturally remembered it. It seems that you two have a good relationship. Wu Crossing couldn't help but smile, and at the same time he felt that these girls in Douluo were all rich women, and they would not blink an eye when they took out 100,000 gold soul coins. First there was Yi Lingling, and now there is Ning Rangrang, who is even more arrogant, and she spent 500,000 gold soul coins at once. You know, through the calculation of some of the goods purchased yesterday, he roughly knew the value of gold soul coins in the Douluo world. 1 gold soul coin is at least equivalent to 100 yuan in the previous life, and these 500,000 gold soul coins are a starting point of 50 million. If this is not a rich woman, then what is it? Brother Wu, the 3 of us are best sisters. Ning Rangrang said with a smile. Originally, Xiao Wu and ZHU's Yuking didn't want Ning Rangrang to pay for them, but they really didn't have 100,000 gold soul coins, and considering that the number of fairy grass might be limited, they could only wait and slowly return the money to her later. Wu Crossing smiled again after hearing this, and then handed the gold soul card to Suruoxi, but she did not take it immediately, but hesitated and said, Wu Crossing, I don't have 200,000 gold soul coins on me. After answering, Suruoxi's face flushed. She only had less than 110,000 gold soul coins in total, of which 100,000 were given to her by her husband last time to keep. Sister Ruoxi, I have it on me. I'll find it for you first. Before Wu Crossing could speak, Yi Lingling had already helped Suruoxi out. No, don't bother. Just leave it with Brother Wu. I'm not in a hurry to use it. Ning Rangrang waved her hand when she saw it. She was still thinking about how to get more involved with Wu Crossing, and she wished that the 200,000 yuan would be left with him, so how could she waste this god-given opportunity? Ning Rangrang's thoughts were exactly what Wu Crossing wanted, so he said, since you trust me, I will keep it for now, and find it for you another day. Okay, Brother Wu. Ning Rangrang responded happily. While talking, Wu Crossing had already taken out 3 immortal herbs and handed them to Ning Rangrang, then pointed at the 3 immortal herbs and introduced them one by one. This one is Kilo Tulip, which is suitable for your martial soul, Rangrang. This one is Narcissus Jade Muscle Bone, which is suitable for Zhu King's martial soul, and this one is Delicate Reflection Rose, which is suitable for Xiao's martial soul. He did not take out the Acacia Heartbroken Red. If this immortal herb was given to Xiao, if she recognized the master, and the target was Tang San, wouldn't it be like shooting herself in the foot? Therefore, he replaced it with another immortal herb that was suitable for her soft bone rabbit. Well, thank you, Brother Wu. Ning Rangrang nodded and handed the other 2 immortal herbs to Xiao and ZHU Zhu King respectively. You're welcome, you spent money. Wu Crossing joked with a smile. That's thanks to you, Brother Wu. The value of this fairy grass is far more than 100,000 gold soul coins for us. Xiao Wu, ZHU King and I have already taken advantage of it. Ning Rangrang was telling the truth. As far as the value of this fairy grass was concerned, even if it was sold for 1 million gold soul coins, there would probably be countless soul masters vying for it. seeing the three Shrek beauties happily holding the fairy grass and admiring it for a while before putting it into the soul guide. Wood Crossing asked, Zio Wu, wrong, Zhu King, do you have anything else to do? Nothing, thank you, Brother Wu. The three girls thanked him again. In that case, I'll go shopping with Ruoxi first, Wood Crossing said with a smile, hinting at something. Shopping? Ning Rangrang's eyes lit up when she heard this, and she immediately said, Brother Wu, Zio Wu and Zhu King are also coming to Xiandao City for the first time. Why don't we go together? This? Wood Crossing glanced at Su Ruoxi beside him. He had deliberately said that he was going shopping, and his purpose was to let the three beauties bring it up. After all, it would definitely not work if he took the initiative to invite them, as he might be considered to have ulterior motives. It's just that before agreeing, it's reasonable to ask for the opinion of your woman. And Su Ruoxi would naturally not refuse, let alone lose face for her man. Just let him decide. Du Guyan on the side was a little unhappy. She knew that the three Shrek beauties would not miss such an opportunity. Well, let's go shopping together. Wood Crossing smiled when he saw this. In an instant, the original team of 4 people developed into a team of 7. Brother Wu, where are you going to play? Ning Rangrang asked very familiarly. Let's go to the auction house first. I heard that the auction house in Xiandao City is very shocking. I haven't seen the grandeur of this world. Wood Crossing thought for a moment and decided. Everyone heard that, of course. They had no objection. It's better to say that they were more accompanying each other than shopping together. Along the way, I thought Du Guyan would be the most active, but I didn't expect that with the addition of Ning Rangrang. She became the most talkative and kept pestering Wood Crossing to ask this and that. Su Ruoxi was better. She held Wood Crossing's arm. As his girlfriend, there was nothing to fight for. No matter what, she was his first woman. This alone gave her a huge advantage. At the same time, this was also her cleverness. She knew that her man was excellent, and it was inevitable that he would be surrounded by girls. The only thing she had to do was to make herself look generous, so that Wood Crossing would only care for her and love her more. Instead, Du Guyan was a little angry. Ning Rangrang from Shrek seemed harmless, but she had a lot of tricks. She took advantage of her young age and called Wu brother sweetly. Little slut. Du Guyan curled her lips and cursed the other party in her heart. She was straightforward. When it came to playing palace fighting, she was definitely not as good as Ning Rangrang, who grew up in the Seven Treasures glazed sect. Among these women, the only one who could compete with the other was Yi Lingling, but she was the kind of girl with a calm personality. Even if she really wanted to fight for it, she would not show it in public. Wood Crossing was no fool when faced with Ning Rangrang, who was trying hard to show herself off. He had noticed it very early on, but he didn't care and was even happy to see it. Chapter 45 Ning Rangrang's Seduction. Xiandao Auction House is a magnificent building with a vigorous momentum and a circular shape. Because both Du Guyan and Ning Rangrang have been here before and are very familiar with everything here, they quickly issued bidding qualification certificates for everyone. Brother Wu, let's go in. After handing the qualification certificate to Wood Crossing, Ning Rangrang couldn't wait to pull him in by the hand. Looking at Ning Rangrang, who had taken another step ahead of her, Du Guyan behind her was almost furious. She had never seen such a shameless person. Entering the auction house, it was not as magnificent as expected, but simple and clear, giving people an extremely elegant feeling. Wearing the masks prepared by the waiter, the group successfully came to the auction hall. At this time, the auction had already begun. There were many people sitting around, and they were bidding for the items on the central platform below. Wood Crossing and his friends found a seat and sat down, and then they looked at it with interest. There were many auction items of various types, but most of them were related to Soul Masters. After looking for a while, Ning Rangrang, who was occupying the other side of Wood Crossing, couldn't help but ask, Brother Wu, do you have any auction items you like? While saying this, she also winked at him, which was meaningful. Wood Crossing glanced at the other party, raised his eyebrows slightly, and was a little surprised at her bold behavior. He could clearly feel that the other party's hand was on his thigh. because there was a small table with a sign on it between the seats of the auction house. It was for guests to bid, which also led to some small movements below that would not be noticed unless you looked carefully. After looking at Suruoxi on the side calmly and seeing that she was not unusual, Wu Crossing looked at Ning Rangrang with a playful look and then directly put one hand under the small table. Then, holding the other party's hand, Fang replied nonchalantly, "Not yet, let's take a look." Ning Rangrang was slightly startled, but did not pull her hand back, but gently stretched out her slender fingers and scraped Wu Crossing's palm. Hiss. This girl knows how to play. Wu Crossing took a breath of cold air, and the feeling of excitement spread throughout his body. He really didn't expect that the little princess of the Seven Treasures glazed sect in front of him would play so much and seduce him in public. Anyway, he would not suffer any loss, so Wu Crossing also became bolder, holding the other's little hand and slightly shifting his position. In an instant, he could feel Ning Rangrang's body tremble slightly, and then her pretty face turned red. Originally, Wu Crossing thought that Ning Rangrang would be scared by his actions and pull back, but interestingly, he found that this little girl was more open than expected and had no intention of pulling back at all. Interesting, it seems that this little girl has completely given herself up and she must be taken by him. Wu Crossing thought playfully in his heart. Ning Rangrang leaned against the small table, her pretty face slightly red. She also didn't expect Wu Crossing to be so bold, because she realized that her little hand seemed to touch something indescribable. This made her already active mind even more active. She wanted to capture Wu Crossing and become his woman, not only because Wu Crossing was the owner of the diary, nor because he could bring much benefit to the Seven Treasures glazed tile sect, but because Wu Crossing was handsome and had a perfect temperament, which met all her requirements. If the other party was ugly and looked like a monster, even if he was the owner of the diary, even if it was an endless opportunity for her, it would be extremely difficult for her to take the initiative to seduce him at the first sight. Although this statement may not be completely correct, it is not far off. The auction was still going on, and everyone was talking about the auction items, unaware that Wu Crossing and Ning Rangrang were having fun. When faced with inquiries, Wu Crossing also responded incoherently. There was a small table to cover him, so he was not afraid of being discovered, as long as he did not stand up. "Brother Wu, I'm going to the bathroom, do you want to come?" When Wu Crossing was playing with Ning Rangrang's little hand, he suddenly noticed something strange in the diary system. When he opened it, he suddenly widened his eyes and looked at Ning Rangrang in disbelief. This girl really can't wait. Fortunately, it was a private message, and the diary copy was also powerful, shielding personal privacy. Otherwise it would definitely be discovered by Du Guyan and others who also had a copy of the diary. Ning Rangrang pulled back her little hand and threw a glare at Wu Crossing, which made him feel itchy, before he said something to the girls, got up from the table, and walked towards the bathroom at the back. Looking at Ning Rangrang, who was gradually walking away, Wu Crossing was agitated. For such an exciting thing, which man could resist? Anyway, he couldn't be indifferent, but he couldn't get up immediately, so he could only pretend to take the initiative, to talk to the girls about the auction items. After a while, when he felt it was about right, he said something in Suruoxi's ear, and got up to the back. Suruoxi nodded, glanced at the back of her man, flashed, but didn't say anything. "Brother Wu, are you here?" Ning Rangrang's message came again. Wu Crossing, who had just left his seat, was ashamed when he saw the flashing message. Why didn't he see that the other party was such a woman in the cartoons before? She was almost comparable to those green tea gold diggers in his previous life. "I'm coming," Wu Crossing replied, and then he quickened his pace. Following the sign, he soon arrived at the bathroom and saw Ning Rangrang waiting in front of the women's room from a distance. "Brother Wu, why are you so slow?" Ning Rangrang looked at Wu Crossing, who had just arrived, and couldn't help but said coquettishly. Wu Crossing rolled his eyes in annoyance. This girl was more impatient than himself. "Do you think I'm as impatient as you?" After Wu Crossing finished speaking, he naturally put his arm around the other's waist, lowered his head, and was about to kiss that little mouth. "No, Brother Wu, it's not good if someone comes over." Ning Rangrang's face flushed, and she held Wu Crossing's hand with rapid breathing. Facing Ning Rangrang's obstruction, Wu Crossing chuckled in his heart. At this time, he started to pretend to be innocent with him. Could he let it go? The hand holding the back of his head exerted a little force, and the lips touched each other instantly. HMM. Ning Rangrang let out a soft moan and stopped talking. I don't know how long it took until he couldn't breathe smoothly. Wu Crossing let go of the other's lips. Looking at Ning Rangrang, who was panting, with a flushed face and peach blossom eyes, he wanted to take up his gun and go into battle. But in the end, he held back. The fact that they were both in the bathroom was already suspicious. If they went any further, it would be like playing with fire, and the other women would definitely find out that something was wrong. Brother Wu, we are already like this now. You have to be responsible for Rangrang. After panting for a while, Ning Rangrang looked at Wu Crossing with affectionate eyes and said coquettishly, that depends on your performance. Wu Crossing said with a smirk. Ning Rangrang hesitated for a moment, blushing and letting go of the other's hands that were playing tricks on her. There's a play. Wu Crossing's eyes lit up, and he got what he wanted. Although the lotus has just begun to show its tip, it is extremely beautiful in such an environment. Chapter 46. Hundreds of millions of martial spirits. Okay, you should go back first. Wu Crossing said hurriedly, reluctantly taking back his hand that still exuded the fragrance of a young girl. Although he was lustful, he knew that he couldn't stay too long. Anyway, there was a long time to come, and there were still plenty of opportunities, so he was not in a hurry. Ning Rangrang blushed and looked at Wu Crossing coquettishly, tidied up her messy skirt, and then said, Brother Wu, Rangrang is now considered your woman, right? Yeah. Wu Crossing nodded, and then said, go back quickly, it will be bad if Xiao and Zuking find out. Ning Rangrang, who got the affirmation, was full of joy on her face. She stretched out her hand to hook Wu Crossing's neck, raised her feet and kissed him, and then left with satisfaction. This little witch. Looking at Ning Rangrang's back as she left, Wu Crossing had some endless aftertaste. Originally, he set up a plan to let the three beauties of Shrek come, thinking of getting familiar faces first, and then slowly taking action. But Ning Rangrang was actually more proactive than him. But thinking of his own situation, the behavior of this little witch of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect was not surprising. Whether it was the identity of the owner of the diary, or the resurrection technique, or the potential for the future, how many women could resist this temptation? If he hadn't considered that he still needed to leave a good image in front of Xiao Wu and give Tangsun a big hat, he would have eaten her just now. Rangrang, what's wrong with you? Ning Rangrang returned to her seat. Although she tried her best to cover herself up, her face was still a little flushed, which made Xiao Wu next to her very confused. My stomach is a little uncomfortable. Maybe I squatted for too long. Ning Rangrang made up a lie casually and perfunctorily. Xiao Wu couldn't help but feel strange when she heard it. Shouldn't the face turn pale and blue when the stomach is uncomfortable? Although it felt strange, she didn't think much about it and didn't think about Wu Crossing. After all, the two sides had only been separated for a few minutes. After a while, Wu Crossing also slowly walked back and sat down again. As soon as he sat down, he felt something strange from Su Ruoxi. Ruoxi, have you found any auction items you like? Wu Crossing smiled slightly and grabbed her slender hand calmly. It seems that his girlfriend is not blind. She has already noticed the secret between him and Ning Rangrang, but she just didn't point it out. This touched Wu Crossing very much, and he felt more cherishing in his heart. With such a considerate girlfriend, who doesn't fight or fight, doesn't get jealous, and even helps to cover up, how can he let her down? Feeling the strong hand of her man, Su Ruoxi smiled, and shook her head. Not yet. Well, if you see something you like, just shoot it. We are not short of money now. Wu Crossing nodded. Now he also has hundreds of thousands of gold soul coins, which can be regarded as a small savings. Even if he puts it here, he really doesn't worry about not having enough money for ordinary items. Su Ruoxi responded, but until later, nothing that interested the two appeared. It was already noon when they came out of the auction house. They had dinner together in the hotel, and then went to the Xiandao Great Soul Fighting Field. The atmosphere here is more lively than the auction house, with a lot of people, which makes people excited. Brother Wu, is your martial spirit blue silver grass? Looking at the soul fighting competition below through the floor to ceiling glass, Ning Rangrang seemed to have thought of something and asked. Ning Rangrang's words aroused the curiosity of Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking, and they all looked over. Even Du Guyan and Li Lingling were no exception. I had not thought about this question carefully before, but now I think it is very strange. You know, Wu Crossing said in the diary copy that he had obtained a heaven-defying martial spirit. And the blue silver grass martial spirit doesn't seem to be a heaven-defying martial spirit, right? Even with the blessing of 3 10,000-year soul rings, it is not necessarily something he can show off in his diary. Looking at the women who all looked over, Wu Crossing smiled mysteriously and said, "Secret. It's true." Seeing Wu Crossing's mysterious look, the women looked as if they knew it would be like this. Could it be that Brother Wu, you also have twin martial spirits? Ning Rangrang's eyes flickered. Wu Crossing laughed and answered mysteriously, "Almost. Could it be a 3-life martial spirit?" Du Guyan couldn't help but be curious and spoke up. Wu Crossing shook his head and immediately released his soul power, chanting softly, and suddenly a rabbit martial spirit appeared in his palm. Soft bone rabbit. Xiao Wu widened her eyes and said in disbelief, "But this is not over yet." In Wu Crossing's other palm, a glazed tower with 9 colors of light appeared. 7 treasure glazed tower. No, 9 treasure glazed tower. Ning Rangrang's eyes widened, and her voice trembled. Not only her, Su Ruoxi also set off a wave of shock. What kind of terrifying existence is her man? He showed 2 different martial spirits with a wave of his hand. But at this time, it was far from over. As Wu Crossing clenched his palm, the martial spirit dissipated, and the appearance of a tiger emerged again. White tiger martial spirit. This time it was Zhu Zuking's turn to be shocked. Not bad. Wu Crossing nodded with a smile, and then joked, "Sister Zuking, my martial soul can use martial soul fusion skills with you." Wu Crossing's frivolous words immediately made the cold Zhu Zuking blush, and she certainly understood what he meant. In the diary copy, he was very straightforward. Even if the other party began to restrain herself after learning that the diary holder was a woman from Zhutian Diary, she could not change immediately. If it were before, Du Guyan would definitely spit on Wu Crossing in his heart as a playboy, but now he was completely shocked by the other party's martial soul. After a long time, he said, "Wu Crossing, how many martial souls do you have?" "Well, there are still 100 million. Wu Crossing smiled. "1? Du Guyan was stunned, and then asked, "What is the remaining martial soul?" Don't ask, you have to leave me some cards. You can't take off my underwear, right?" Seeing Du Guyan misled by his homophony, Wu Crossing did not explain, but stopped the other party from asking further. Hearing that the underwear was stripped, Du Guyan's face turned slightly red. She subconsciously glanced at that position and said, "Bah, if you don't want to ask, then don't ask. Who wants to strip your underwear?" After a fight, the girls consciously chose not to ask again, but they couldn't calm down for a long time. One person actually has so many martial spirits, leaving no chance for other spirit masters to survive. Time passed in a flash, and the few people walked out of the big fighting spirit field. It was time to say goodbye to the 3 beauties of Shrek. After a day of getting along, the relationship with the 3 beauties was considered to be a certain friendship, especially Ning Rangrang, who was just 1 step away from the last step. "Brother Wu, come to Xiandao City when you are free." Ning Rangrang waved to Wu Crossing reluctantly. "Brother Wu, keep in touch." Xiao Wu also said something. Obviously she was still very concerned about resurrecting her mother. "Okay." Wu Crossing nodded, waved to the 3 beauties of Shrek, and left with Su Ruoxi and the others. Until the figure disappeared, the 3 beauties of Shrek withdrew their gaze and walked towards Shrek Academy. At the same time, Tang-san, who hadn't seen Xiao Wu all day, was almost going crazy. Chapter 47 The Beginning of Estrangement. "Xiao Wu, where have you been?" Tang-san approached Xiao Wu, who had just returned to Shrek Academy, with an anxious look on her face. This couldn't help but make him nervous. In recent days, he found that Xiao Wu had become somewhat distant from him. In the past, Xiao Wu always followed him all day long and would tell him in advance, even if she had something to do. It was the first time that she disappeared early in the morning, like today, without informing him. I went out for a walk with Rong Rong, Zhuking and the others. Xiao Wu looked at Tang San with some complexity and still explained, but she didn't mention Wu crossing. Tang San frowned. He always felt that Xiao Wu seemed to be a little bit wrong, and he didn't have time to step forward and try to grab her hand. But as soon as he stretched out his hand, Xiao Wu had already subconsciously shrunk. Xiao Wu, did Brother San do something wrong to make you unhappy? Tang San saw Xiao Wu's movements, and his face rose. No, no. Xiao Wu shook her head. Of course, she didn't do anything wrong, because Tang San did something wrong, but she was subtly influenced by Wu crossing, and felt that the other party's desire to control her was too great. This made her a little scared, and she didn't know how to face it. No? Tang San couldn't help but be stunned, and then asked excitedly, Xiao Wu, what happened to you these days? Why are you so cold to me suddenly? You were not like this before. Xiao Wu didn't answer, but shook her head and said, brother, I have something to do. I'm going back to the dormitory first. Tang San's face suddenly changed. Seeing that Xiao Wu was about to step over him, how could he let Xiao Wu leave? At least he had to figure out what happened, otherwise he would be unable to sleep or eat. Xiao Wu was regarded as his forbidden fruit. If he didn't understand the cause and effect, how could he feel at ease? Xiao Wu, tell me, what happened? Did someone say bad things about me in front of you? Reaching out to stop Xiao Wu, Tang San stared at Xiao Wu, and his tone unconsciously rose a few degrees. He really couldn't think of how he made the other party angry, and the only thing was that someone said something in front of Xiao Wu. Tang San's words startled Xiao Wu, and her eyes became a little evasive. She would not lie, let alone lie. Seeing this, Tang San's face suddenly sank. Sure enough, someone really said something bad in front of Xiao Wu, which made her alienate him. Who is it? Tang San said gloomily, his whole body filled with anger. Someone actually provoked the relationship between him and Xiao Wu. No matter who it is, he will make the other party look bad. The sudden outbreak of anger from Tang San frightened Xiao Wu, and she seemed at a loss for a moment. No one told Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu, who reacted, said in panic, you are lying to me. Tang San gritted his teeth and said, how can I not understand you? If there is no one, would you dare not look into my eyes? Xiao Wu was terrified. It was the first time she saw Tang San with such a terrifying look, and she couldn't speak. Tell me, I must kill the guy who provoked our relationship. Seeing that Xiao Wu hesitated to speak, Tang San roared at her. Tang San's roar was like a bolt from the blue in Xiao Wu's mind. Her face turned pale, and she suddenly found that the other party had become unfamiliar. At the same time, Ning Rangrong, who was beside Xiao Wu, couldn't stand it anymore and shouted, Tang San, why are you yelling at Xiao Wu? Didn't Xiao Wu tell you that there was no one? You still scared her? Tang San's roar, coupled with Ning Rangrong's loud questioning, made quite a noise, attracting the attention of the students passing by, and also caused Dame Yubei and others to rush over. What's wrong? What happened? Dame Yubei and others who rushed over were very confused, but when they saw Xiao Wu's appearance, they were shocked again and said, Tang San, what's wrong with Xiao Wu? Ning Rangrong's loud questioning made Tang San, who had lost some of his mind, come back to his senses. Looking at Dame Yubei and others who came over, he realized that he was a little excited. Looking at Xiao Wu's somewhat frightened eyes, he quickly explained, Xiao Wu, I'm sorry, it's my fault for scaring you. But I also want you to be good. Don't let people fool you. Don't you know how I feel about you all this time? Dame Yubei and others who had just come over couldn't help but look at each other when they heard Tang San's words. They thought that Xiao Wu was bullied by other students, so Tang San was so angry, but now it seems that this is not the case. Instead, the other party scared Xiao Wu, which made them confused. You know, in their eyes, Tang San has always been very caring towards Xiao Wu, so how could he get angry at him? Xiao Wu is a soft-hearted person. Seeing Tang San apologize, she felt better. She shook her head slowly and said softly, I feel a little uncomfortable. I'm going back first. After that, she stepped over Tang San, and walked towards the dormitory. Zhuting, who was standing by, saw this and hurriedly helped Xiao Wu leave. Ning Rangrong, on the other hand, glared at Tang San and followed them. Until the three girls left, Tang San's apologetic look became gloomy again, and his fists clenched and made a series of light sounds. Who is it? Who is it? Xiao-san, what happened? Tang San's appearance made Dame Yubei and others tremble with fear, but they still asked out of concern. Tang San stared at the direction where Xiao Wu left and then answered word by word. Someone said bad things about me in front of Xiao Wu, and Xiao Wu doesn't like me now. What? Several people were shocked again when they heard this. No wonder the other party was so angry. It turned out that someone was trying to sow discord between the two. But then he thought about it and found it a little unbelievable. With the relationship that Tang San and Xiao Wu usually showed, who could do that? Oscar's eyes flashed, and then he comforted Xiao-san. It's okay, I'll find a chance to ask Rangrong and see what's going on. In his opinion, although he and Rangrong are not a couple yet, it's only a matter of time. As long as he finds a chance to hint at it, Rangrong will definitely tell him. But what he never expected was that the girl he liked almost became someone else today, and it was the initiative. The little hand that he dreamed of holding was not only held and played with carefully, but also the body that he dared not desecrate was touched all over. Yes, Xiao-san, we 7 monsters are one. No one can disrupt the friendship between us. Dame Yubei also nodded, which made Tang San feel relieved. Yeah. Tang San nodded. Fortunately, he had these brothers, otherwise he would really lose his mind and fall into the trap of the person who said bad things about him. But since you dare to provoke the relationship between me and Xiao Wu, I will make you pay a heavy price. Wu Crossing didn't know that he was hated by Tang San again, and even thought about how to torture him in his heart, making him live a life worse than death. At this time, he had returned to Xiandao Royal Academy, but just returned to his room. Before he had time to do anything, he received a message prompt in the diary friend column. Is this protagonist a bit bad? Chapter 48 I'll treat you to a lollipop. Brother Wu, have you returned to the academy? Opening the diary friend, Wu Crossing looked at the message sent by Ning Rangrong and couldn't help but chuckle. This little witch is really impatient. It hasn't been long since she couldn't help but interact with him. However, thinking of what happened in the bathroom with the other party this morning, his heart was burning. I'm back. How about you? Wu Crossing typed a reply. The dormitory of Shrek students is different from the dormitory of Xiandao Royal Academy. This is a multi-person dormitory, and Xiao, Ning Rangrong, and Zhuting are divided together. This shows a huge gap in the financial resources of the two academies. After comforting Xiao, Ning Rangrong lay on her bed, thinking about it boredly, and couldn't help but open the diary copy and sent a message to Wu Crossing. Originally, she thought that Wu Crossing might not reply to her so quickly, but she didn't expect to receive a reply from the other party immediately, which made her heart suddenly jump up. She quickly sat up and replied, Brother Wu, I've been back a long time ago. Oh. Wu Crossing just said oh and there was no follow-up. Ning Rangrong pouted as she looked at Wu Crossing's one-word reply. This guy was too perfunctory. Why didn't he ask more questions? Wu Crossing didn't know what Ning Rangrong was thinking. Even if he knew, he wouldn't say too much. He wasn't Oscar, and he wasn't a bootlicker. He couldn't help but want to pour out his heart and soul when a beautiful woman sent him a message. Besides, chatting with girls also requires skills. The more proactive you are, the less the other party will care. Although she expressed a little dissatisfaction on her face, Ning Rangrong still asked, Brother Wu, what are you doing now? Me. I'm lying on the bed now. Wu Crossing saw Ning Rangrong taking the initiative to find a topic, and replied with a smile. Me too. Ning Rangrong smiled, as if she thought of something, glanced at Xiao Wu on the opposite bed, and then said, Brother Wu, Rangrong has a piece of news for you. What news? Wu Crossing asked curiously. He was immediately interested in the fact that this little witch could share with him like a treasure. Xiao Wu and Tang San had a conflict just now. Sure enough, Ning Rangrong's message came soon. Xiao Wu and Tang San are having a conflict? Wood Crossing became alert as he saw this and said, "Tell me more." "Humph, I knew you, a bad guy, would like to hear it." Ning Rang Grang snorted. This guy cares more about Xiao Wu than himself. Wood Crossing looked at this message and felt amused. In the morning, he said that you two were best sisters, but now you are jealous. I'm afraid you are just fake sisters. Thinking of this, Wood Crossing's actions were not slow. He typed a line of words. "I like you too. I couldn't bear to let go until I saw the auction house. Bah." Ning Rang Grang looked at Wood Crossing's reply and her face flushed. She didn't have time to say a word. Thinking of the auction house, she felt shy for her boldness, especially a certain part. She still remembered it vividly. Big bad guy, big pervert, don't know how to be gentle. What if you pinch it too small? Ning Rang Grang's voice was not a message to Wood Crossing, but a subconscious one, which made Xiao Wu and Zhu King beside her look over curiously. "Rang Grang, what are you talking about?" "No, nothing." Ning Rang Grang was startled when she heard Xiao Wu and Zhu King's question, and then she remembered that Xiao Wu and Zhu King were here, and immediately shook her head. Xiao Wu and Zhu King looked surprised, but did not ask any more questions. Seeing this, Ning Rang Grang breathed a sigh of relief. It was a close call, but it was also a very exciting feeling. She liked it very much. On the other side, Wood Crossing looked at Ning Rang Grang, who had not received any news for a long time, and was also puzzled. Could this little witch be embarrassed to reply because of his teasing? It shouldn't be that the other party was so bold in the morning, but now she is shy. Just when Wood Crossing was wondering, Ning Rang Grang's message came late. "You big pervert, I almost got hurt by you." Wood Crossing looked at it, smiled in astonishment, and said, "What did I hurt?" "Xiao Wu and Zhu King." Ning Rang Grang replied unhappily, "They just asked me what happened." "Haha." Wood Crossing replied. "You're still laughing." Ning Rang Grang pretended to be angry. Wood Crossing shook his head and continued, "Stop it. Tell me how Xiao Wu and Tang San got into a conflict." Seeing Wood Crossing's eagerness to know the matter, Ning Rang Grang pouted again, but still obediently told him the cause and effect of the previous incident between the two. "Haha, but. After listening to Ning Rang Grang's explanation, Wood Crossing felt relieved. It seemed that his words had worked. Now there was only a gap, and he believed that it would only get bigger and bigger in the future, and finally he was willing to put the hat on that double standard Tang San. After all, if the other party was not hypocritical, no matter how much he provoked, it would not have any effect. It was entirely his own fault. "Brother Wu, Rang Rang has already told you. Is there a reward?" Seeing Wood Crossing so happy, Ning Rang Grang also said happily. Seeing Ning Rang Grang trying to get a favor, Wood Crossing smiled again, and then said, "Yes, I will go to Xiandao City some other day and treat you to a lollipop." "Lollipop?" Ning Rang Grang was stunned, thought for a moment, and didn't know what it was, and asked in confusion, "Brother Wu, what is a lollipop?" "It's a kind of candy from my hometown. It's delicious. It tastes delicious. When you lick it, I guarantee you will love it after you have eaten it once." Wood Crossing smiled and typed, "Okay, it's a deal. You can't lie to Rang Grang." Ning Rang Grang heard this and agreed happily. The candy that can be introduced so solemnly by Brother Wu must be very extraordinary, and she is very much looking forward to it. "It's a deal." Wood Crossing almost burst out laughing. Ning Rang Grang would never have thought that the candy Wood Crossing was talking about was not real candy, but he was a little right, and the other party would definitely love it after tasting it. After teasing each other for a while, Wood Crossing asked again, "How is Xiao Wu now?" After Zhu King and I comforted her, she feels much better. Because of the reward Wood Crossing promised, Ning Rang Grang answered very happily, and did not get jealous. "Okay, if something like this happens again in the future, tell me again." Wood Crossing did not make trouble, nor did he let Ning Rang Grang say something bad about Tang San. Although the two had a conflict, it would only be stupid to directly intensify the conflict. Of course, directly intensifying the conflict is stupid, but it is possible to change your method. Wood Crossing had an idea in mind. "Yeah." Ning Rang Grang responded happily. She was naturally happy to be able to convey the message for Brother Wu. This meant that the two could contact each other frequently and promote their relationship. As for Tang San, She now saw it clearly and was disgusted. What Brother Wu said was right. He was too double-standard and hypocritical. Xiao Wu just didn't answer his question, but he got angry at her and threatened to kill those who said bad things about her. How could this be called pampering or love? It was clearly a pathological desire for control. So she had no psychological burden at all for secretly reporting the news to Brother Wu. The only person she felt sorry for was Xiao Wu. However, she did this for her own good, and she couldn't let Xiao Wu be harmed by Tang San. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49, Swinging the Hoe to Dig Out the Wall. Xiao Wu, what are you doing? Since he knew that Xiao Wu and Tang San were in conflict, Wu Crossing decisively opened Xiao Wu's friend panel, edited a line of words, and sent it to her. Although he didn't intend to add fuel to the fire, the other party was in a bad mood now, which was a good opportunity to take advantage of the situation. Of course, he had to show the ambition of a scumbag, no, or thief, what the hell. It was the true nature of a warm man, and send warmth. Xiao Wu, who was sitting in front of the bed, was surfacing scenes of the past, and her heart became more and more sad. Today, Tang San's behavior was completely different from before, making her feel strange. Suddenly, a message prompt came from her mind, interrupting her memories. She opened a copy of the diary, and saw that her originally dim eyes gradually lit up. It was Brother Wu. Brother Wu contacted her. Looking at the message sent by Brother Wu, Xiao Wu calmed down and slowly typed, Brother Wu, I'm in the dormitory. I didn't do anything. In the dormitory? Didn't you absorb the fairy grass? Wu Crossing pretended to be confused. Although he intended to send warmth and comfort to the injured little rabbit, Ning Rong secretly told him the news of the conflict between the two. He would not take the initiative to bring it up. The best way is to let the other party say it, which is the truly smart way. No. Xiao Wu replied. Why? Wu Crossing pretended to be curious. Xiao Wu is not in the mood. Xiao Wu hesitated for a moment before replying. Seeing Xiao Wu's message, Wu Crossing's mouth curled up and asked again, what's wrong? Are you in a bad mood? Did you have a bad time today, or is it because of your mother's matter? Brother Wu is very sorry that I can't help you. Wu Crossing did not mention Tang San at all, showing his acting skills to the fullest. No, Brother Wu, it's none of your business. Xiao Wu is not unhappy because of this. Seeing Wu Crossing's self-blaming tone, Xiao Wu quickly typed a response. What is that? Can you tell Brother Wu about it? You should know that I came from another world and know a lot of things. Maybe I can help you. Wu Crossing continued to play dumb. Seeing Wu Crossing's caring tone, Xiao Wu's originally depressed mood warmed up slightly. Thinking of the attitude of the third brother towards her before, and thinking of the fact that Wu Dajie had kept it in mind because she just mentioned her mother and even blamed herself for not helping her, the care shown by the two was completely different. The third brother only cared about where she was going. Why didn't he tell him when he went out and didn't inform him? It seemed that he was worried about her, but in fact he regarded her as his own thing. Such care is not about caring about herself at all, but about himself, which is extremely selfish and possessive. On the other hand, Wu Dajie's care is for her sincerely, without any pretense, and even worried that she might be sad because of her mother's affairs, and even found a lame excuse to say hello to her. Unconsciously, Xiao Wu compared Wu Crossing with Tang San, and only after this comparison did she find out who was the one who really treated her well. Wu Crossing didn't know what Xiao Wu was thinking, and he didn't know that he took the initiative to send her a message, and was mistakenly thought that he was a lame excuse to care about her. Wu Crossing was now looking at Xiao Wu, who hadn't replied to his message for a long time, and he was confused. Did he rush too much? Did Xiao Wu discover his intention? Wrong. What is Xiao Wu doing now? After hesitating for a moment, Wu Crossing decided to ask Ning Rong. Giving Tang San a big hat is the wish of countless fans, and he didn't want his plan to fail because of this. Big bad guy, I was wondering why you didn't reply to the message. It turns out you were chatting with Xiao Wu. You really care about Xiao Wu more. Ning Rangrang was still depressed because Wu Crossing didn't reply to her message and suddenly saw the message. She was happy, but after seeing this question, her face immediately fell. Ning Rangrang's resentful tone made Wu Crossing's mouth twitch, and he quickly typed a line of words. Okay, Rangrang, brother Wu is not kidding you. I will give you 2 lollipops next time. When talking about lollipops, Wu Crossing said twice, not 2, but Ning Rangrang did not understand the subtlety of this statement, and really looked happily, silly, at Xiao Wu on the opposite bed, and then said, Xiao Wu is in a daze. Dazing? Wu Crossing was stunned. What the hell is dazed? Just when Wu Crossing was confused about Xiao Wu's behavior, her message came again. Brother Wu, can I ask you something? Xiao Wu said faintly. Go ahead. Wu Crossing replied. Xiao Wu looked at the chat window, and after a moment of silence, she asked, Is Sanjay really that kind of person? Wu Crossing did not reply to the other party immediately, but typed a few points, first expressing his speechlessness, and then said, Xiao Wu, you shouldn't ask me this question. You have read so many diaries and you should understand my attitude towards Tang San. Isn't it the same as asking me to say bad things about him in front of you? Sincerity is the most deadly, and Wu Crossing's move can be said to be absolutely perfect. Sure enough, Xiao Wu paused when she saw this, and then said, Xiao Wu wants brother Wu to tell me in person. Well, forget about telling you in person, you should watch it yourself. Wu Crossing did not answer, but directly sent her a video. This video is exactly the scene in Douluo Mansion where Tang San expressed hostility to him. In the video, he maintained a gentlemanly demeanor from beginning to end. So it's true. Xiao Wu watched the video silently, feeling as if she was dead. Replaced by brother Wu's vision, as a guest of Douluo Mansion, there was nothing wrong with his performance. Even though he had belittled the third brother countless times in the diary copy without reservation, he did not show any hostility towards him, let alone deliberately irritate him, and always maintained his own position. On the contrary, the third brother looked down on brother Wu and mocked him. In the end, when he was slapped in the face, he not only did not look for the reason in himself, but resented brother Wu. Even Xiao Wu was frightened by his biting eyes. No wonder brother Wu said that Tang San was hypocritical and hypocritical. No wonder brother Wu said that Tang San could slap others in the face, but others could not slap him in the face. He was a complete hypocrite. Xiao Wu smiled sadly. She was deceived by Tang San's disguise before. Fortunately, the diary copy appeared, allowing her to see his true face. At this moment, Xiao Wu no longer had the feeling of dependence on Tang San. She would only be grateful for her care in the past, and that was all. Thank you, brother Wu. Xiao Wu said gratefully. Wu Crossing said uncertainly, are you okay? Don't worry, brother Wu. Xiao Wu is very strong. Xiao Wu clenched her little pink fist and said firmly. Seeing that Xiao Wu did not fall into pain because of this, Wu Crossing slowly said, Xiao Wu, it's not that brother Wu slandered him. Tang San's feelings for you are not love at all. He just treats you as his own private property and does not allow anyone to touch you. It seems that he is caring for you, but in fact, it is not so much that he cares about you, but it is better to say that he cares about himself. Xiao Wu understands. Xiao Wu said lightly, well, it's good that you understand, but don't do anything stupid. Wu Crossing said with concern. Xiao Wu won't do stupid things. Xiao Wu gave Wu Crossing an affirmative answer. She still has the wish to revive her mother, so how could she do stupid things? Moreover, after seeing Tang San's true face, it is even more not worth it. Why should she be sad for such a person? Chapter 50 Team members gathering. Hubby, what are you thinking about? You look so happy. Suruoxi came out of the bathroom and saw Wu Crossing leaning against the bed with a smile on his face. She immediately rushed over, stretched out her hands, and hooked his neck, raised her head, and asked with a smile. Wu Crossing told her the word hubby when she came back from Xiandao City. It means husband and wife. She liked it very much, so she used it. Wood Crossing lowered his head and kissed the other's fair cheek, then smiled and said, because my husband is about to accomplish something big. Is it those 3 girls? Suruaxi asked slightly. Wood Crossing was embarrassed. Although he had thoughts about the 3 beauties of Shrek, he couldn't show it in front of his woman. Although she wouldn't care, it was precisely because she didn't care that he couldn't talk about it. Of course not. Wood Crossing shook his head and then said, do you remember Tang-san? I remember. Suruaxi nodded, with a hint of coldness in her eyes. That guy not only looked down on her man, but also mocked him, and even showed hostility to him without concealment. How could she not remember such a person? I will soon make him deserted by his friends and relatives. Wood Crossing smiled and explained his plan to Suruaxi. After hearing Wood Crossing's plan, Suruaxi's eyes lit up. Will it be too easy for that guy? Should we snatch Xiao Wu, whom he cares about, and kill her in front of him? Wood Crossing heard this, and a drop of cold sweat fell on his forehead. He did not even mention his thoughts on Xiao Wu, but he did not expect that his woman would be more ruthless than him, and she would do it to the bull-headed Tangsan in front of him. This is really a punishment. Ahem, Ruaxi, you don't have this idea. Wood Crossing coughed repeatedly, looking at her man who was interested, but dared not admit it. Suruaxi's face showed a cunning look. Husband, don't say that you have no thoughts about Xiao Wu. You can't hide what happened at the auction house today from me. Wood Crossing smiled awkwardly when he heard it. He thought this girl was not jealous. It was all a lie. Husband, Ruaxi has no other intentions. I don't care how many women you have. I just hope you can always treat me well. Suruaxi said affectionately, and her hands hooked around Wood Crossing's neck tight and inadvertently. She knew her man's ability and potential. There will be no shortage of women in the future. She will not compete for favor, nor will she fight for it. The only worry is that Wood Crossing will get tired of the old and love the new. This is something that all women will worry about, even if they love each other deeply. Looking at Suruaxi, who was looking up at him affectionately, Wood Crossing gently stroked her capable hair, kissed her, and then said seriously, don't worry, Ruaxi, I will always treat you well, and I will never abandon you. Although he is lustful and admits that he is a bit of a scumbag, he will never get tired of the old and love the new and abandon a woman. Yeah. Suruaxi nodded vigorously and then gave her a kiss. Husband, give it to me. Seeing the emotional Suruaxi, Wood Crossing was also hot. Now she had just finished a bath and was wearing a black gauze nightgown. The scene of her looming was the most attractive. However, thinking that they would have to gather tomorrow if they went into battle right away with their guns, it was doubtful whether his woman could bear it, and she would definitely not be able to get up. So Wood Crossing did not move immediately, but lowered his head and whispered a few words in her ear. Suruaxi, who was already infatuated, blushed even more when she heard her man's whispers. She rolled her eyes coquettishly, and then she got into the quilt. Early the next morning, Wood Crossing and Suruaxi got up very early. Although there was a big battle last night, Suruaxi was not too tired because of the prelude, but her sexy little mouth felt like it was not her own. After washing up, they went to the cafeteria to have breakfast, and then went to the place where the instructor had said before to gather. When the two arrived at the gathering place, the members of Xiandao Team 2 were already there. Seeing Wood Crossing coming, several team members greeted him enthusiastically. Wood Crossing's name is now known to everyone in the entire academy, especially his competition with Du Guyan, in which he completely crushed his opponent, which was widely spread. Even the instructors of the academy were amazed and felt that the academy had picked up a treasure this time. Therefore, none of the current team members did not admire Wood Crossing, even though they were all royal relatives. After all, strong strength is the theme of this world. As for the relationship between Wood Crossing and Suruaxi, everyone already understood it and no longer had any thoughts. Not long after, everyone did not wait for long, and instructor Yu Feng appeared, but behind him were 4 students who were also wearing the uniform of Xiandao Royal Academy. Yu Feng looked at the 7 people and nodded with satisfaction when he faced Wood Crossing, and then said, there are still 10 months before the Continental High-Level Spirit Master Elite competition will begin. In order to win honor for Xiandao Royal Academy, after the decision of the education committee, these 4 students will join your team for running in. Although the Spirit Master competition is a team of 7, due to the large number of matches and some uncontrollable factors, injuries may occur, and rotation between members is essential. Therefore, the organizer of the competition stipulates that each academy can send 4 players for rotation adjustment. After briefly introducing the 4 students and getting to know each other, Yu Feng said, "I'll take this opportunity to tell you about the rules of the Soul Master competition. The Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition is sponsored by the royal families of the 2 empires of Xiandao and Xingluo, and co-organized by the Wuhun Hall. It is the largest Wuhun competition in the Soul Master world, and brings together all the geniuses in the continent. First of all, the 2 most important rules of the competition are age, which must be under 25 years old. Secondly, during the competition, it is mainly a friendly competition, and deaths are not allowed. So you must remember this. If it is not necessary, try to avoid injuring your opponent as much as possible. Otherwise, if you kill your opponent, the academy will bear the corresponding losses and you will be expelled from the Soul Master competition. Do you understand?" At this point, Yu Feng paused and looked at everyone. Except for Wu Crossing, these students all have big backgrounds. They act as they please, and naturally don't take it lightly. That's why he reminded them seriously. In his opinion, although his students were not as good as Team 1, they were relatively strong among the advanced Spirit Master Academies in the continent, so he was worried that they would treat the rules as a joke. Of course, he could not imagine that his Team 2 students were just the lowest level extras in the original book, and were eliminated by Shrek Academy in 1 minute. He also thought that he should be careful when he attacked, and it would be good if he was not beaten by the major academies. However, now that Wu Crossing has joined, the things in the original book will definitely not happen again. Looking at the instructors who looked over, all the students said nonchalantly, "Understood, Teacher Yu, we will pay attention." Seeing that these students did not seem to be concerned, Yu Feng could not help but sigh slightly in his heart. Although teaching these royal relatives was well paid, it was indeed tiring. Wu Crossing, who was standing aside, looked at these indifferent team members, but a strange expression appeared on his face. These guys, don't they really think they can kill everyone? No way. Really not? Wu Crossing, who had watched the anime, had scenes popping up in his mind. He really couldn't think of any team that was weaker than this one. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.